Welcome to Fandom Post Radio. It is our big best of the year episode for 2022. I'm Kestrel. We got Brandon, Brando, Hellshake Brando.
Hello
Brando,
from all of those Brandos. Say hello. Yes.
I still never know what to call you. Do you prefer Bran or Brandon?
Whichever comes off the tongue best. I really don't care.
God.
He doesn't even know.
Yeah. And those were DJ.
Hey.
And Cain.
Hello, hello. I'm just going to go with big old B.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Anything that includes any of the letters in his name, I think, are valid at this point.
All fair game, yes.
Yeah, so we got our top 10s to count down. Gonna lightning round our 10 through 6s, then spend some time on our 5 through 1 round robin style. You can say a little bit about the year in general at the top if you want. Any honorable mentions, just list them off, I guess. Yeah, and we've got plenty of submissions, mostly from DJ's fans, that we'll be listing off in between those. Normally we only do top 5s for the year, but he had already gotten a bunch of top 10s, so we got mostly top 10s from other people as well.
Damn, was I supposed to do top 5s?
We didn't really discuss it ahead of time, so
All right.
The fact that
we
you got
more than
like
we bargained for, so
15 top 10s and 3 of my 5 were top 10s, like, yeah, I'm good with that.
That works.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll get right into that. Won't do any news or anything. So we'll do my 10 through 6 first. 2022 was a pretty solid year for anime, I think. I don't think I liked it quite as much as 2021. But that last season there, fall 2022, I think took my number one favorite season of all time spot. After I had called fall 2011 or spring 2011 my number one for the past 11 and a half years. So that was a packed fucking season. And that really saved the year for me, I think. Like, my list is mostly stuff from that season. And since we've been discussing that season for the past several episodes, you're going to hear a lot of retread from what I've said in those past few episodes. But anyway, last year it was like hard for me to fit just 10. Like, I wanted to do a top 15. Like, that's how many really great anime there were. This year it was kind of hard for me to fill it out. So I have my number 10 as Spy Family Part 2, even though I have Spy Family Part 1 also on the list, since they did air separately. If I had enough to fill out a top 10 to 15 comfortably, I would have put something else there and just combined them. In retrospect, yeah, I probably should have put Cyberpunk there. But anyway, I have Spy Family Part 2, a little lower than Part 1. Just a little bit less going on in Part 2. There's a lot of little silly vignettes, which are fun, and it's a great series. But yeah, not a lot of meat on the bone for that one. Number 9 is Kingdom, the 4th season. So with the 3rd season, which started in 2020, then got delayed for COVID for a full year, that really kind of like rebooted the Kingdom series stylistically. So it was always really great content, but it kind of looked like shit for the first 2 seasons. So it's really great to see it looking great. They replaced the original composers with Sawano and Kota Yamamoto, who's kind of his protege who works with him on everything now. And it's just like a much more solid production all around. So that just continues the trend with the 4th season. Number 8 is JoJo Part 6, Part 3. So Stone Ocean aired in 3 parts, one at the tail end of 2021, the second one about 3/4 of the way through 2022, and then the third and final part was tail end of 2022. First 2 didn't blow me away that much in the way that a lot of JoJo seasons or parts have. But the final part of that, once it got past the first like episode or 2, it was just like full steam ahead, all the insane craziness that I expect from JoJo, and really climactic, great end of series drama and tension. And then it wraps it up in a way that's like a really great resolution for the original continuity of JoJo, because after part 6, it reboots the whole universe. So they take that into consideration and give it like a nice end cap there, which was a really nice thing to see. So number 7 is the first part of Spy Family. So I'll just talk about the series in general for a second here. It's a series that I knew I loved from the manga going in. I knew it was going to be great from the studios and director that they put on it. And yeah, it's just a delightful time every week. It's hilarious. Anya is a treasure. All 3 of the main characters are really great in different ways. Their dynamics with each other are so much fun, and you get some serious moments and some drama and action, and it's all really well done. So I'm really happy to see the series get this treatment. I'm looking forward to seeing some of the bigger arcs in the future get the same adaptation. Hopefully the quality keeps up, because yeah, I couldn't really ask for anything more with the material that they've gone through so far. And then number 6 is Mob Psycho 103. I think I actually would rank this below the second season still. I think that's still the peak of Mob Psycho, but it definitely continues on what that season had set up with Mob's character growth and his relationship with Reagan and other people in his life. And it just brings, all of the personal character moments to a really satisfying conclusion, and, continues to use the superpowers and all the supernatural elements as kind of a metaphor for growing up and all of the issues that you can go through as someone who's dealt with, social anxiety, and in Mob's case, trauma. So yeah, I was really happy how it all turned out. It's an amazing looking adaptation from beginning to end. And, unlike One Punch Man, for example, I'm really glad that it never really faltered all the way through. That's my 10 through 6.
Nice. I feel like I agree with real quick on the Mob one. After like feeling the end of the 3rd season, I was like, oh, I don't want to have recency bias and say this one's my favorite one. So I feel like after the dust settled a bit, I think season 2 is still the standout season. But yeah, as we'll see, the 3rd season's still pretty high up on my list later.
Yeah, I think the second season felt like it could have been the end, because it kind of resolved all the conflicts that were set up initially. Mm-hmm. But the 3rd season, was more than just an epilogue, because you realize that really the story was about Mob growing up, and if he doesn't face his own internal demons, then the story really isn't complete. That's the most important conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also agree with the Spy Family ranking too. I think it didn't deter it from being, on my list, especially at the position that it's at. But the second season is a little bit weaker, especially because I'm still waiting on, good Yor content. But Bond makes up for it, so that's always good, because Bond is great.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that big old doggo.
Yeah, I think, even though the second part wasn't as meaty, you definitely had some really important developments, like the addition of Bond and how he played into that dynamic. So that was good.
And the tennis episode.
Of course.
Of course.
Very, very important.
I'm glad you mentioned Stone Ocean, because I don't know if anyone else is going to. And it honestly slipped my mind to put it on the list, and I think part of that is Netflix's fault. So fuck you, Netflix.
Agreed.
To be fair, the first part aired like a year and a half ago or some shit. So
yeah, it was weird. Like, it was exactly 9 months between the first part and the second part, but then exactly 3 months between the second and the third. So the first and third were exactly a year apart. But yeah, it's strange that they made the gap 3 times longer between the first 2 as the second 2.
Yeah, and now they're simulcasting Vinland Saga, so it's like, okay, cool. I guess someone at Netflix just really hates JoJo.
Well, I mean, JoJo is an actual, part 6 is an actual Netflix original, right? It's not like it's airing on Japanese TV and Netflix is putting it out whenever they feel like it. This premiered exclusively worldwide on Netflix, and Netflix does the binge model for almost everything that follows that release schedule. So
that makes sense.
It makes sense that it happened, but I agree, and everyone agrees that it kind of ruined the JoJo experience.
Yeah.
I mean, it ruins a lot of experiences for shows, period, anyway, because you can binge them and then they're completely out of the zeitgeist in like a week. Mm-hmm. So it's not the best method for trying to have any type of societal staying power with your property, unless Netflix keeps renewing you for seasons like a Stranger Things or whatever. But other stuff, it's great because you can watch it all at once. But then, it just doesn't stick around very long.
Yeah,
I did have it. I did have it on my list, but took it off because I haven't finished it. And I make my list by putting everything on them except stuff I dropped after like 1 or 2 episodes. Because in previous years, I've had to put shit on my list that I didn't finish because I just didn't finish enough anime to make a full 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like from the recent trending stuff, Netflix is more likely to cancel your show than give it a second season. So,
yeah, that certainly does not help at all.
Yeah. I guess there is one Netflix show that was able to break that boundary a bit, which will probably show up on a lot of our lists later.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Big Mouth.
No, man, no.
Because they did keep that around.
They sure did.
There are a few of those, yeah.
Yeah, I can jump into mine then. So I do have one honorable mention because it's hard to watch and it's only 30 seconds long per episode, but that's Nights with a Cat, which I enjoyed. It's just a little comedic short that's like has a very interesting art style about a guy that lives with his new cat and all the weird cat stuff it does. And it's pretty accurate with the cat stuff, but that's about all I can say. It's really weird in that the episodes are 2 minutes long, but 1.5 minutes is for the ending theme. Yeah, there's only about 30 seconds of actual content. It's at 30 episodes now, so if you can find it, you can binge it in like 5 minutes.
Huh. I might have to do that.
But it's cute, and it's, pretty lighthearted. If you own a cat, obviously it makes it better, because a lot of the jokes are just about what cats are like, so if you don't have one, you won't get it, but yeah.
Cain, I said we're not talking about honorable mentions.
Yeah, number 10, I had The Girl from the Other Side. I talked about it briefly before, but as an interesting story and a really cool art style, it's just the anime and the way that they broke it into 3 episodes instead of 1 movie doesn't help, and also even with the time frame it does have, it just doesn't cover enough for it to like kind of grab you and make sense. Like I needed more of it, but not in a good way. Not like I really want to watch more. It's more like there are key story elements clearly missing that so the world can make sense, and for some reason they just kind of kept those out. But it does have a really cool premise and a really fun art style, and it has that mix of like relaxing and kind of like anxiety inducing at the same time, like a slice of life but in like a very tense time. So it's interesting. Maybe 1 more episode, so like another 20 or 30 minutes would have done it a lot of good. But unfortunately, we didn't get that. But I'm sure if you read the manga, it's a better experience in that respect. Number 9 was Do It Yourself, which just came out. Pretty cute. Cute girls doing cute stuff. In this case, building things. I liked it. I look forward to watching it only because so much of my other stuff is so serious and tense. It was nice that Do It Yourself was a very clear, had a very clear delineation of this is the nice show. But yeah, we talked about the kind of like sketchy art style it has, and the 2-tone color hair thing is interesting and adds a little bit of personality. So it's fun, and for the most part, they get like the tools right and the way you do the stuff right. So it doesn't just like kind of fuck around and have people build stuff with like the completely inappropriate tools. It's pretty close on that. Number 8 is the Prince of Tennis World Cup. This was hard to put down the list because I love Prince of Tennis, but the more I watched it, the more I kind of jive with the general attitude towards it, which was there's too much time spent on Ryoma just being like kind of a punk-ass punk instead of just playing tennis. But the matches are pretty good and exciting. And if you like a lot of the side characters and want to see them get their spotlight, you do get that. It's just if you're in it for Ryoma, you don't get that until the end, like the very end. But a good watch if you like the property. Number 7, I had Demon Slayer, the Red Light District arc. It's a good show. It's solid. It always looks pretty, and the action is always incredibly well animated and gripping. And it just suffers from the same problems that it always suffers from. Is its comedic timing is very odd, and it really extends that last battle or so with everybody like awakening themselves over and over again instead of just, fucking finishing a fight. So it's a little too drawn out for me, and the comedic timing is just almost never fucking like correct.
Bad. It's bad.
Yeah, it's just bad. Yeah, you can't even say the comedic timing is off, but the jokes are still funny. The comedic timing is off and the jokes are not funny, which doesn't help at all. But
no one watches Demon Slayer for the comedy, though. So it's like that much is allowed to be bad, I guess. It definitely takes away from the experience. Yeah, I would just as easily wish that they would stop putting it in their period, even if it's in the manga. Be like, yeah, you don't need this in here. Like, you could take almost all of that out. And I don't think the experience would be tarnished in any way, shape, or form. And then my number 6 is the second half, so season 1, part 2 of Ranking of Kings. I put it on here just because if it was only 4 episodes that aired in 2022, I wouldn't have put it down, but it was the entire second half of that. So a lot of story things happen. And I really love Ranking of Kings, but the ending that they chose for this season still doesn't sit well with me. So, spoiler alert here. But if you watch it, the main villain essentially gets completely forgiven and rewarded at the end for being the villain. And it goes like so far into that redemption arc, but then it does a redemption arc in like 20 minutes. And then the person you've spent the whole show like rooting against not only is redeemed and forgiven, but also allowed to marry the prince and become royalty. It's a little too much for me there. But yep, that's my 10 through 6.
Yeah, I'll just note quickly, before we were like planning this episode, Cain and I were talking a bit about, recency bias and shows that span multiple years and stuff like that. And we basically came away with the fact that the only proper way to rank the best of whatever of a year is to wait until the next year. Because then you're not just, getting the bias of the things you just finished watching a week ago. So I did an experiment where I re-ranked my top 10 of 2021 a year after I initially did. And yeah, it changed a lot. And a lot of it was stuff that had completed and was just, recency bias or whatever. But also Ranking of Kings dropped a lot because, the second half hadn't aired yet when I ranked everything from 2021 originally. And that ending, I agree, is not the strongest.
Yeah, it really leaves a sour taste, especially with everything that leads up to it. Like Boji's battle with his dad is so like awesome and satisfying despite its length. And then they're just like, oh, by the way, the main villain is no consequences.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wish I would have put it up higher. I mean, if it was just the first season, it'd be like number 1, boom, easy. Like, because Boji's great, but that's just not the case here.
Yeah, I would have included on my list, but it was like the only outlier left over from last year. So I don't know. It just felt better to choose from what I already had to have a hard time choosing.
Yeah, and as I stated earlier, I sometimes have to do, like, I frequently have to do stuff like this just because picking a top 10 when I only watch sometimes 12 to 15 shows in their entirety in a year, I have to do some things that stretch the rules a little bit just to have a list. But yeah, if you have obviously more than that, you don't have to partake in the rule bending quite as frequently.
Mm-hmm.
I was also disappointed by how many movies, like anime movies, I did not watch. Because normally I have a couple in my list because I like the movies better than the TV shows. sometimes because I can get a whole story in like an hour and a half. But I didn't really watch any anime movies this year.
I think I watched at least as many as any year, but it's probably the only year where none of them were even a consideration for top anime of the year for me. I did not think anime movies this past year were very strong at all.
I don't know if I watched any.
I totally didn't think about that.
That's fine. I mean, a lot of people prefer to, stick it to completely or the only TV series anyway. So
yeah,
whatever.
All right. Are you ready to move on to me?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right. So coming in at number 10 for me is Call of the Night. Super stylized, super immersive, both visually and audioally. This is a very Fooly Cooley-esque coming-of-age series about a despondent teen who meets a vampire, and they kind of have a cute little friendship / kind of love-ish thing going on. But it's a series that really surprised me in the fact that after one episode, my big impression was that it just looked weird, and I didn't know if I wanted to keep watching it because I just couldn't deal with the outlandish-esque character designs. But it has a really interesting story to tell, and it does so in a really compassionate way that I had a lot of fun with, and it was really touching in a lot of ways I didn't expect it to touch me. Number 9, I have Akiba Maid War, which was wild. This is just PA Works, I guess, continuing on with their trend of just making whatever the fuck they pull out of a hat. And this time it was a mob movie inspired maid cafe show where all of the maid cafes in Akiba were all the mafia. And so that was weird and surprisingly depressing near the end, which was not a thing I expected from a show with a panda who is an actual recurring main character who's just hanging out in a cafe who isn't actually a panda. But that's another story.
A pig-themed cafe, we should mention.
Yes. Number 8, I have a show called Teppen, which was way funnier than it had any right to be. It's based on that weird, extremely Japanese form of comedy where just two people stand up on a stage and just riff on each other, and that's the whole thing. And they turned that into an entire show where a bunch of different girls in a dorm were competing to see who was the best stand-up comic group. And it was so extremely dry, and it probably has more words than any other show that I've ever watched because it's just nonstop talking the whole time. Super fast-paced, super dry, but if you like weird offbeat comedy, Teppen might be for you. Number 7, I have Lycoris Recoil. Everybody watched this pretty much because Chisato and Takina are the couple of the year, even if they're not a real couple. It was fun, and it was interesting, and it was well animated. And, I don't really have much else to say about it, apart from the fact that it got emotional when it had to, very sparingly at that, but it touched all of the things I wanted it to touch on. It was just a generally well-made series. But another show that a lot of people didn't watch that comes in at number 6 for me is Dance Dance Dancer, which is a very welcome to the ballroom-esque show about a dude with a big neck who just dances. And that's just the whole show. It's this kid whose dad dies at a young age, and so he has to sort of become the man of the house. And it kind of eats away at him because deep down he's always wanted to be a ballet dancer, and he can't be a ballet dancer because all of his friends will be like, "You're gay." So it's a lot of that, and a lot of him learning to accept who he is as a person alongside 2 other characters who were struggling to find their place in the world as well. It was really well animated, and it had nice soundtrack, and it looked a little interesting. Very like a shoujo art style, very lanky bodies, but I think it worked a lot for the aesthetic of the show, and it was great. IMO, and that's my 10 through 6.
Yeah, I passed that Dance Dance Dancer one pretty regularly on my Crunchyroll catalog, and that's the first thing I always think of is man, just a bunch of giraffes up in here.
Yeah, they are very elongated humans.
Yeah, which I can see how that would help with the animation
Ballet,
and the movement of the show
like
in ballet, because you've got more neck to animate with,
Yep.
which is very weird to say.
Welcome to the
It
ballroom did
shows
that too, right?
because ballet is very strict when it comes to positioning and stuff. So having all of the very thin limbs, which is how ballet dancers are, it really helps kind of get the skill across, I guess.
Yeah, I think Welcome to the Ballroom and this both had a lot of that giraffe neck energy going on.
I thought because of Welcome to the Ballroom, this show would have gotten a little more traction, but it really was way under the radar. I did not hear anyone talk about it.
I loved it though.
Well, I don't think Welcome to the Ballroom was all that well received, was it? I don't remember it.
The manga sold well, from what I understand.
Yeah, I think the manga is, really acclaimed, and the anime got decent reactions from people who watched it. But I think it was during that weird Amazon anime strike period, so that it kind of flew under the radar just from not being on like Crunchyroll, not being in those conversations.
Right. Yeah, because I remember everyone. Yeah, like Kestrel, did you watch it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you saying generally good things about it, and I remember seeing a couple displays at Otakon for it, but just like I think the general sentiment, at least over here, was like, what even is this? Because since it was on anime strike and all that, nobody wanted to pay the extra $5. Nobody had any idea what the show even was.
Right.
Yeah. It didn't help that they had to like make a original ending because I think the mangaka got sick or something and didn't finish it before the show ended.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember because I've been up to date on the English release of the manga since before the anime was even announced, I think.
Mhm.
And I think the manga might have been ahead of the anime still. I think when he got sick, it might have been after what the anime covered.
Oh,
but
okay.
I'm not 100% sure. But either way, I mean, it's still a scenario where you run out of episodes, and so you got to end it where you end it, which is not ideal in any situation.
True.
All right. I think we can go to your 10 through 6.
Yes. So at number 10 for me, I have Made in Abyss Season 3, which I think the subtitle's like City of the Scorching Sun or something or other.
3? Thought it was Season 2.
Was it Season 2?
It's Season 2, but
but the
movie comes between the two seasons, yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right. Season 2 of Made in Abyss, my bad. This is a show that like it should be higher on my list. It's just so hard to recommend because it's very graphic. But it's like the thing is like every episode is as haunting as it is captivating. It's just one of the like most beautifully like thought out and like well thought out places in anime, despite the medium being so free for like creative expression. It's like one of the most like the Abyss itself is basically the main character of the show, and it's so thoroughly written and created. Kevin Penkin's soundtrack is stellar, and it's just builds this stellar world even higher than it already goes. So yeah, with the second season under my belt, Made in Abyss continues to be the most interesting fantasy world that I would never want to visit. And that's my number 10. Number 9, I've got Call of the Night. And I think this show was like a breath of fresh air in a lot of ways for romance. It does follow like a very understated and grounded protagonist through a very not grounded situation with vampires and all. But I think the character writing gives lots of great opportunities for like very introspective thoughts on what love really means. And this show definitely wins my VOTY, which would be Vibes of the Year. I think
That's fair.
Yeah,
I'll give it that for me too.
Yeah, there you go. So I personally am kind of a fan of the character designs. I originally watched the original creators' first animated show, Dagashi Kashi, because I thought the character designs were interesting. but I think those designs look even better in this show. And I think especially juxtaposed to the dazzling late night Tokyo vibes going on, especially with the Creepy Nuts soundtrack as a little cherry on top. I think it was genius for the studio to like reach out to this band and collaborate in such a deep and thorough way that their identity was just as involved in the show as the original work. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to more of that. Hopefully we get another season. At my number 8 spot, I have Bleach, the 1,000-Year Blood War arc. Having finished that arc in the manga about a decade ago, I never in a million years thought Bleach would be getting a renaissance like this. But I'm happy to say that 1,000-Year Blood War arc has been one of the greatest adaptations I've seen in a while. And it can really prove that with the right people at the helm, it can go further beyond something that's already a highly acclaimed source material, because everything I feel like was stepped up from the original production. So I think I'm happy to say that not only is Bleach back, but it is better than it's ever been. And it's really exciting that we get to see it get its just desserts for wrapping up one of the... I mean, it was called the Big Three for a reason. It's a very big and popular franchise, and I think it deserves this much. At number 7, I've got Bocchi the Rock. This one wins my I didn't think I'd love it as much as I did award for the year. It definitely was like the dark horse of the fall season, but once I saw enough people talking about it online and giving it so much praise, I started watching it a couple episodes in, and it definitely earns all of the love that it had gotten. I think the Kisoku band members are all like a very well-rounded cast of likable characters, but Bocchi just easily takes the cake. Her insane anxiety attacks, just like, for some reason, just those small moments alone were enough to push this studio to the boundaries of creativity. And not only the animation, but just the comedic timing and execution of each and every little anxiety episode. It reminds me a lot of ways in the reasons I love shows like Pop Team Epic and shows that take advantage of like multimedia approaches to anime. And not only that, the show had stunning layouts and background art and music. So just all around, Bocchi the Rock was just very enjoyable and easily the show I didn't expect to be this high on my year-end list, but I'm happy to say that it is. And then at number 6, I have Attack on Titan, the final part 2, I believe, is what it is, where it's at. So adapting one of my personal favorite stories of all time was definitely a tall order, and I think especially after the studio changed at such a pivotal point for the series, there was a lot of speculation and worry, which very much was deserved. But I think MAPPA have proven themselves time and again. And though Attack on Titan, the 4th season, parts 1 and 2, aren't the most stunningly animated as much as some of their other passion projects like Jujutsu Kaisen or Chainsaw Man even. I think the crew that are working on Attack on Titan have a much better, or have a clear understanding of the tone and atmosphere that was needed for the final leg of the story. And even if some people might not enjoy it as much as the Wit seasons, I think MAPPA really do understand what needs to go into the final leg to really make it hit the way it needs to. And even if personally for me, the source material may be doing a lot of the heavy lifting, because Isayama's writing is just that crazy, it's not to say that the anime faltered in any way, because I think each episode of the MAPPA Attack on Titan has been worthy of praise and dissection, and they continue to put in lots of effort into making it wrap up in a way that it should, and I really can't wait to see how they pull off the finale. So yeah, that's 10 through 6 for me.
All right. DJ, do you want to read a few lists of your fans?
Do that. So I'll do 5 top 10s. Our first one is from D's Nuts. That's not a joke. Number 10, he has Malikarus Recoil. Preface: we're gonna see a lot of Spy Family in these countdowns, and we had 2 Spy Families this year, so I'm just gonna say it's a combination of both of them. And if we really have to choose one, I guess season 1, because that'd be better. At number 9, he has Spy Family. Number 8, Shine Post. Number 7, ya boy Kong Ming. 6, Chainsaw Man. 5, Kaguya-sama Season 3. 4, Demon Slayer, the Red Light District arc. 3, My Dress Up Darling. 2, Cyberpunk Edge Runners. And number 1, Made in Abyss Season 2. Up next, we've got Yanni. Number 10, he has Spy Family. At number 9, Call of the Night. At number 8, Ascendance of a Bookworm Season 3. 7, My Dress Up Darling. 6, Blue Lock. 5, Bocchi the Rock. 4, Kaguya-sama Season 3. 3, Summertime Rendering, or Summertime Render, whatever the actual title is, because I have seen both a million times. 2, Cyberpunk Edge Runners, and 1, Made in Abyss Season 2.
Whoa.
Third, we have Lucid. At number 10, he has Uzaki Wants to Hang Out Season 2. 9 is Beast Tamer. 8 is Seiken Densetsu, the Teardrop Crystal. 7, Futoku no Guild. 6, Arc Knights. 5, Spy Family. 4, Overlord Season 4, I'm assuming. Number 3, Reincarnated as a Sword. Okay. 2, Bocchi the Rock. 1, Cyberpunk Edge Runners. After that, we've got Ruski. At number 10, he has JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Stone Ocean. What was it? Part 6, Part 3? Is that what it was?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Number 9, Bocchi the Rock. 8, Demon Slayer, Entertainment District, Red Light District, whatever. 7, Lycoris Recoil. 6, Spy Family. 5, Arc Knights, Prelude to Dawn. 4, Ya Boy Kong Ming. 3, My Dress Up Darling. 2, Chainsaw Man. And 1, Cyberpunk Edge Runners. And my last one for now comes from DJ, a DJ that is not me. Number 10, he also has Call of the Night, just like I did. 9, he has Bocchi the Rock. 8, My Dress Up Darling. 7, Spy Family. 6, Overlord Season 4. 5, Chainsaw Man. 4, Mob Psycho 100 Season 3. 3, Bleach 1000 Year Blood War. 2, Ya Boy Kong Ming. And 1, Cyberpunk Edge Runners. And that's all I got for now.
There was some,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, there were some good ones in there that I feel like didn't make my list, but I'm happy that other people were enjoying, especially your boy Kong Ming. Mm-hmm. I think it was a really fun show. It just like barely didn't make my top 10, but I thought it was a good show. It definitely, like, I don't know, it was lacking in some parts that I think it needed to, like the music especially, to make it top 10, but yeah, it was a fun show overall and a good concept.
That show's my yearly regret. Every year there's one show where I'm like, you know what, I should have watched that. And this year it's that one for me, because I just didn't have High Dive at the time. Yeah. And I just missed out on it. But I've got some time this month, and I might revisit it after Made in Abyss, which I am going to watch next week.
Oh boy.
Don't say I didn't warn you about it being gross.
Yeah, that's the only thing I know about the show, really, because I haven't watched it either, is Kestrel has stated on multiple occasions that it's gross.
Yeah.
It's also a masterpiece, but it's fucking disgusting.
Yeah, the masterpiece part is like the thing that's kind of bringing it home for me, because I know that it'll get to me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And it doesn't get that gross that early. Like, this season is where it's just absolutely disgusting.
So I'll be invested already by the time it's gross.
Exactly.
Someone bash me over the head with it in the beginning.
Exactly.
Yeah, they'll reel you in first.
Great.
Exactly.
All right. We can get into our top 5s now. DJ, do you want to talk about your number 5?
I'm next again. Okay. What was my number 5? Let me pull that list up. I'm juggling lists right now. My number 5 is a show that I'm sure we're going to talk about at another point this series, and that is Attack on Titan, the final season, part 2. Is that correct? Did I get that? Yep. Okay, yeah. Cool. Yeah, Attack on Titan is just consistently great, and I feel like whatever's going on right now brings it to, I guess, the height of its actual technical greatness. I don't think the show has ever been as well made. It's just all around completely masterful, and it was weird in the beginning having all of the new characters thrown at me in this final arc, but I feel by the time this part of Attack on Titan rolls around, I'm already adjusted to them, and so I am invested in these new characters, and seeing their side of things is not as off-putting as I initially worried it would be. It's a very different show than it was in the beginning, especially in the fact of just how much Eren has changed. And I feel like that is what sets it apart from a lot of the other great shonen series, where it's like, yes, characters change over time, but there aren't a lot, at least that I know of, that have had shifts this grand. It's something that is going to withstand the test of time, and I'm sure fucking 10 years from now I'll still be talking about Attack on Titan, but we're not done yet, and I can't wait to see what's in store. It's cool having my love for this series revitalized the way that it was. Mm-hmm. And I'm finally excited to talk about it again. It's just unfortunate how a lot of people I know personally have fallen off the Attack on Titan train just because of how long the gaps between everything were. But for anyone wondering if you should get back into it, please do, because it's really never been better.
And in a couple of months, it will have already been 10 years that Attack on Titan has been airing.
Oh my God, we're so old.
I know.
Yeah, honestly, like, I understand people falling off with like such a gap in time, but weirdly enough, it's like Wit Studio gave up on Attack on Titan at the perfect time, because it's like such a transition and change in direction and atmosphere that, like, it's almost like giving it a whole new coat of paint did it a huge service. So
it's a good way of looking at it. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree that like this section of Attack on Titan is when like the story really starts unfolding, and you're like, oh shit, everything that this whole thing has been about is like has led to this moment. And yeah, it's super exciting.
Right. Cain, how about your number 5?
Okie dokie. So my number 5 is Blue Lock. Yeah, the show's been just an absolute blast to watch, especially with the cast of characters that they have at hand, and I think it does a good balance of everybody getting their time in the spotlight in one way, shape, or form, whether it be positively or negatively. It's always incredibly exciting, so I like how it doesn't really give the characters, any of them, really any time to rest between soccer stuff. So I think that really adds to the pace and sort of the high adrenaline of the show, especially because during the soccer matches, since it is an anime, you will get a healthy dose of internal monologuing. So I'm glad that they do most of that like during a match, and then don't also give a lot of internal monologues and shit, in between. So yeah, I really didn't know what to expect going into the show. It was recommended to me, I think, by both, was it you and DJ Kestrel, or just, I can't remember exactly. Yeah, I cannot remember, but absolutely hit spot on with what I like in sports shows. So I'm glad that I took your advice and watched it. It's got anime crazy eyes just for the dudes, and it uses its CGI kind of nicely as well. Like sometimes they're animated in CGI and sometimes not, but it's almost never when they're doing something cool, which is where it matters.
It's like
it's
the filler
always
shots, yeah.
Yeah, there's CGI on like big swooping, zoom out shots where it's just showing the whole field, or like Chiguri's just in the background picking his nose or whatever. Like they'll use them CGI there, but then when it's time for them to like do their shit, like either pull off some sick dribbles or shoot the ball, anything like that, they really take their time to animate it and make it look cool while also not losing your eye in the action, which I really appreciate. Like it's animated really well and it moves fast, but it's not so fast that I can't like figure out what's going on, if you know what I mean. Like it isn't everyone's doing flips all the time and the ball's all over and all of a sudden it's in the back of the net. I can see and process all of the action on the field as it's happening, which I think is really a strong point, that they wanted to make it look cool, but not at the expense of actually experiencing watching the match play out. So that's also very good. But yeah, I know you guys have been watching this show too. We've discussed it a little bit in the past, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. But it's been super enjoyable to watch. I'm really glad that we got another, we're getting some more non-soccer, if that makes sense. So like we had all those team matches and then everybody got split up. So now we're going back into sort of a soccer adjacent territory, which is cool. So it varies up the action in that way as well. So you're not just watching game after game after game after game. You're getting a little bit of a mix. And it's also not afraid to, as we saw at the beginning of the series in particular, like show the main characters losing. Like, yeah, we can have a pretty good amount of confidence that a healthy dose of the main characters, your Chiguris and Bachiras. I actually can't remember the name of the main guy because I think he's rather nondescript. Isagi. You can be fairly confident they'll make it pretty far just because it's a sports show and you need Isagi and a couple core group of people to hold on to.
MC plot armor.
Yeah, to be MC plot armor in merchandising and other things like that. But it shows them losing and, getting their ass kicked sometime. And that's also relatively refreshing. And I always like that in a sports show. Sometimes you just watch a bunch of winning all the time, and whenever they lose, it feels completely inconsequential. But when they do lose here, it feels like there's weight. One of the drawbacks of the show, and I can't remember if my brother told me this. I think my brother did, is that they kind of go really over the top with their like careers ending when in reality they aren't. Like they just can't play for the Japan national team. And I understand that that's a huge deal, especially with, Japanese culture in general. And the idea of playing for your national team, no matter where you are, is a huge deal. But the way they weigh it as if their life is going to end does get a little bit tiresome. Nobody seems to be able to look past the point that they can still play soccer for their school. They can still play soccer for a college. They can still play professional soccer and be incredibly famous and successful. It's just they can't play for the national team. And, and this is looking way too far into the future of the show and probably digging into the show too much anyway. In the premise of it, when they can qualify for the World Cup team, who's to say that any of those bans would even hold up in the first place? Like, depending on how the government works at that time. But either way, that does wear on me just as a watcher occasionally, where it's like, your life is not over. I can understand the general emotion behind it as an athlete who played and lost a lot. I get that, but sometimes I think it hammers that point a little too hard. We got some new characters in the last couple episodes too, which is refreshing because we were spending a lot of time with the original cast and you were getting to know them, but I'm glad they're shaking things up a little bit. And of course, they're all ridiculous in their own way or super moody or whatever. But yeah, I'm just really, really enjoying it. And I'm looking forward to seeing how all the characters kind of grow and get better and get even more hype and shit like that. So also the opening theme was always a banger.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Right. Now, Brandon and I have the same number 5, and it is a series with a banger of an opening theme that we have been talking about in our discussions of the fall season quite a bit, and that is Chainsaw Man.
Yes.
So I guess let's start with the old fans' perspective on this adaptation.
Yeah. So we've talked about it in nauseum, kind of like, especially because the reception of this show has been so chaotic on both sides, and I think now that the first season has wrapped up, I can thoroughly say that it's an adaptation that is not afraid to be taking risks, whether that be direction wise or just like stylistic choices. And I think it's very like I'm taking a very middling opinion, because I think people's criticisms and praise about this show are both well earned. And I think that kind of comes with the territory of what Chainsaw Man is, because when the manga was first being published, it was a very divisive series, and people were like, should this even be in Shonen Jump? And it itself is a very experimental story from like a young author who, also has been making batshit crazy things since before Chainsaw Man. Fire Punch, fucking what? But I think the adaptation it's at number 5 for me, because I think at some points it's amazing, and it really can capture the essence of what these characters are at an even deeper level than sometimes you can kind of get from the manga. But I think at the same time, the decision to make the show very stylistically cinematic and like toned down and like favoring realism in more cases than not is also a detriment to the show, because I feel like the manga has such a chaotic energy, and I just feel like I understand the like everyone knows at this point, like, oh, Fujimoto, he loves American cinema, and like I understand that the main director for the show wanted to create that feeling with the adaptation. And like I said, it works in some places and it doesn't in others. But I think that's perfectly fine, because the first season is very much like a prelude in a way, and it's still a great entry point. It has better fight scene animation than it like even really deserves, because that's not even really the focus of what this series is really about. I was captivated by just about everything, including just like how over the top everything went with 12 different ending songs, and just all the people they had to pull together to even make this adaptation not fall apart at the finish line. I think it's praiseworthy that Mappa is able to still like produce things at this level of quality with the amount of shit they already have on their plate. So I can say with confidence that the first season of Chainsaw Man was I think it lives up to what my standards are for it, and while I think it can go beyond that, I think it's good as what it is, and it doesn't need to be exactly what a lot of people are expecting it to be. But yeah, I'll leave it at that, I guess.
Yeah, so I'll jump off of that by saying that I think all the best things about the Chainsaw Man anime so far are the liberties it takes in adaptation, and choosing not to adhere to the exact stylistic choices that were made in the manga, because those were made for the reason of the medium that Fujimoto was using and what he was able to do with that. And that's great that he gets to pull it off in such spectacular fashion that touches so many people. But the anime should not attempt to recreate the strengths of manga. It should use the strengths of anime and filmmaking. And I think that's exactly what it does. and being creative and innovative in that process is something that a beloved series deserves. You should be able to, experience it in the manga in exactly the way that you want a manga to feel, and then experience something different in an anime and have that carry all the traits that, someone who loves cinema would really appreciate. And the creator loves cinema, so it makes total sense. I think the chaotic feel, I read the first few chapters when they first came out and like the end of 2018 or whatever. I've read his one shot since then. I've got the first few volumes of Chainsaw Man now. So, I'm not the expert that's going into this expecting it to be exactly a certain thing. But I feel like the chaotic feel that people were hoping for is preserved for the scenes and characters that it makes sense. So, scenes with Denji in power and big battle scenes do feel very chaotic. And then you get scenes with, like Aki and Himeno and their rumination and introspection, and the things that make them tick. You get to really dig deep into those in poignant ways, and that's executed maybe not the way that Fujimoto would do it in manga or did do it in manga, but I feel like those are often my favorite scenes, because the juxtaposition between those tones and those stylistic directorial choices really shows how adept this team is at handling every kind of emotion, every kind of genre, and balancing them in ways that you wouldn't normally expect would be able to work that well together. So I think that, across the board, the scenes are very well adapted. I think the weakest part of the season is the material. I think Chainsaw Man is not anything special yet. And I think the fact that it ranks so highly for me, even with mostly not that remarkable material being adapted in this season, is almost entirely a testament to the adaptation choices and, how much Mappa is able to put into this while juggling Attack on Titan, Jujutsu Kaisen, Vinland Saga, Hell's Paradise, etc. That them and the director, like the directors are mostly like totally new to handling something, a full series or whatever. And it's incredible what they've been able to accomplish, that they've been able to, pick the right people for the job and see that talent without them having something this big on their resume before. Just so impressed by all the work everyone's putting in. The writer Hiroshi Seko is my favorite adaptive writer in anime, so no surprise that everything lands just right there. Kensuke Ushio is one of my favorite composers in anime, and he just matches all of those wildly different tones and stylistic directions with the eclectic nature of his score and everything that he's done in his career. So really great choice of just a team behind it, and really impressed to see everything that they're putting out. And like you mentioned, like we get a completely different ending theme with a completely different, mostly A-list artist, completely different animation, completely different aesthetic. And they're all like, actually built to carry on the themes and the tone of the episode itself and the way that it ends, and, feel like a natural progression, which, you get a lot of tonal whiplash when you have the same ending in every episode. And to see them like dissect what makes that episode and what its core themes are, and then kind of illustrate that in a 1.5-minute music video that's completely distinct from the other 11 is like, it's a lot more impressive than you normally give an ending theme credit for. So just the attention to detail and the love and passion and care that's put into every aspect of this production has just blown me away.
Yeah. I think one of the most important points you made near the end there was that a lot of the core staff are like very new to the industry, like haven't directed a series before and whatnot, have never been an episode director, an AD. And I think that is a huge part of what the spirit of Chainsaw Man is, because I mean, this was like the breakout series for a dude that was barely like 25 when it started really hitting. And I think for someone to be that young and inexperienced, but still take the steps to like try to make a series that will constantly keep people on their toes is really noteworthy. And it's the same with the production of the anime. And for everyone who thought that signed this petition that's like, oh, they should redo the Chainsaw Man anime. First of all, get your head out of your ass. You don't really understand how this industry works. That shit's not just like, yeah, scrap it all. Let's just start over. Not that easy. And secondly, the manga's still there if you want to enjoy it. So like, let them do what they want to do with the anime, because these are still young men and women who are just trying to make a name for themselves by sticking their necks out there to make something completely different and original. And I really tip my hat to them for making it happen. So, yeah.
Like, other than the odd DG model that doesn't always land right, like the production values on the series, the production quality is just like, you can't argue that it's incredible. So with how many shit adaptations and shit productions we get every season, the fact that people are rallying behind this fucking incredible piece of art as like, oh, bad adaptation isn't the same as the manga. Like, oh my God. Just a cry for attention.
Please put that energy into something like Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer or something. Please. There are shows that got slighted way harder than Chainsaw Man ever did.
Berserk. Yeah.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
Anyway, that's Chainsaw Man.
Yeah.
A good show. Fuck the haters.
I watched the gross clip that you guys alluded to last time that I talked about this. The one that is just automatically censored.
Yes.
It was gross.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
It happened to one of my friends.
Oh. Damn.
I said I didn't finish it, but I got far enough there to. Yeah.
That was a tipping point for Cain.
All right, well, that's like we ready to move on?
One last thing I forgot to mention. I will just mention that like the episodes right after that, the big turning point in the series, which did make Cain actually drop the show, those were the only points where I was like, all right, the material is really strong here, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of that in the future and seeing what made everyone lose their minds so much about the Chainsaw Man manga. So that was just really good from a baseline, but for the most part, it's just how much the material is elevated by the adaptation.
Yeah.
But yes, sorry, DJ, go ahead.
Cool. All right. Yeah, so I'll do another 5 top 10s from my people. Starting with Banana Pudding. At number 10, he has Teppen. At number 9, he has In the Heart of Kunoichi Tsubaki. Number 8, Golden Kamui Season 4. 7, Call of the Night. 6, Do It Yourself. 5, Chainsaw Man. 4, Lycoris Recoil. 3, Birdie Wing. Woo! Yeah. 2, Pochi the Rock, and 1, Spy Family.
I hear only extreme opinions on Birdie Wing. I hear like not that small a number of people who absolutely adore it, and then the rest is just, this is the worst thing ever. And like,
no
I checked my anime list.
Anyone would ever adore it. It's so bad. It's so bad.
I checked on my anime list, and it's got like a 7.5, which is like dead average for my anime list.
No way.
I feel like it has to be like exclusively 10 out of 10s and 5 out of 10s.
It feels like a joke. Like it feels like an actual joke of an anime.
I think that's the appeal for some people, though, is that they get the joke. Like for, Akiba Maid War, how that worked for us. I didn't watch any of it, so I can't actually have an opinion. Anyway.
Oh my god!
It's like our pop team epic argument, you know.
Right.
It's just like,
I think all you have to watch is the first episode to really understand Birdie Wing, because there's a good 5-minute monologue of just like a girl hitting the fucking golf ball at a tree for a solid 5 minutes while like a song plays, and then it's just like interlaced with shots of her being cool in black and white in different locations for a solid 5 minutes. It just keeps going on, and I think that is really the best showcase of the show itself.
I do think that to name 3 anime from this year, Birdie Wing, Akiba Maid War, and Pop Team Epic, all have some overlap in that if you get the joke and it's a joke that works for you, then you can appreciate it. But different jokes will work for different people. And
that's the
definition of love it or hate it.
Are meant to be jokes.
Yeah. I don't know. Everything I've heard about Birdie Wing, it sounds like it was meant to be, but it's possible that those people who appreciate it as a so bad it's good kind of B-movie thing.
Yeah, I gotta side with DJ here.
Again, I don't have a perspective on this because
it takes itself so seriously.
Yeah, that's the problem, is that you can't tell if it's a joke because it takes itself so incredibly seriously that it doesn't have a single like tongue-in-cheek moment that makes you wonder. It feels like the show's trying to be very honest about itself and how like dark golf it is.
It's so bad.
I much prefer the other golf anime that came out this year, and it was 1 13-minute short.
I didn't watch that, and I also prefer it.
You have good taste.
I don't think Banana Pudding expected to light such a fire with that list.
That show breaks my heart
too. I called him out for it. I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And then it was the icing on the cake where he's like, "I really loved the opening theme, and it's one of the most grating songs I've ever heard."
It really is. Like, I know I normally don't listen to them, but I especially didn't listen to that one. After the first one, like I hit the skip button with intense prejudice when I did it.
It's so bad. Okay.
Omi Hirose, she did like the first ending of Cardcaptor Sakura. Man, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
That was like fucking 800 years ago.
It was.
Yeah, maybe she should have stopped there.
All right. Moving on. We've got Ivalef next. His number 10 was Mighty Mashita Iruma-kun Season 3. No idea what that is. But hooray for that, getting representation. Number 9, he has Spy Family. Number 8, Chainsaw Man. Number 7, Classroom of the Elite Season 2. 6, Call of the Night. 5, To Your Eternity Season 2. 4, Cyberpunk Edge Runners. 3, Made in Abyss Season 2. 2, In the Heart of Kunoichi Tsubaki. And number 1, Bocchi the Rock. Up next, we've got Dusty Crow. 10, he has Yakuza Babysitting. I have not heard of that. 9, Koroshi Ai. 8, The Genius Prince's Guide to Raising a Nation Out of Debt. 7, Bocchi the Rock. 6, Summertime Rendering. 5, Sabikui Bisco, whatever it is. 4, My Dress Up Darling. 3, Call of the Night. 2, Mob Psycho 100 Season 3. 1, Chainsaw Man. After that is Aiden. At 10, he has Arc Knights, Prelude to Dawn. 9, Shine Post. 8, Call of the Night. 7, Bocchi the Rock. 6, Princess Connect Season 2. 5, Demon Slayer Entertainment District Arc. 4, My Dress Up Darling. 3, Summertime Rendering. 2, Cyberpunk Edge Runners. And 1, Kaguya-sama Season 3. And then finally, for now, we've got Undefined with Harem in the Labyrinth of Another World at number 10. Blue Lock at 9. Number 8 will be Eminence in Shadow. 7, Demon Slayer Entertainment District Arc. 5 and 6, Spy Family 1 and 2, respectively. 4, Chainsaw Man. 3, Cyberpunk Edge Runners. 2, Made in Abyss Season 2. And number 1 was Attack on Titan Final Season Part 2.
Shouts out to the person that put Preco Redive Season 2 in their list. I did not expect anyone else to put that somewhere. So nice.
All right.
Yeah, that's a show I made it 2 episodes into. All right. I'm next, right? Number 4?
Yep.
All right. Yeah. All right. So we already talked about this for a little while, but my number 4 is Blue Lock, which is yeah. I was telling Cain before the podcast started, but I watched the first 10 episodes of Blue Lock again today because my friend from New Jersey's here and he wanted to see it. So we spent good couple hours doing that, and it's still great. I love it. It's exciting, and there's never really a dull moment. It's just you get there, and okay, it's quote unquote life or death for the rest of the fucking show, and it's so fun. And it's probably the only sports series I watched this year. I don't count Birdie Wing because it's barely an anime. But Blue Lock is way better than I thought it was going to be. And it might be the first time ever that, actually, no, Run with the Wind did make it into my top 10. So never mind. Okay. So it's probably the second sports anime that's ever made it into a yearly top 10 for me. And I'm all about it. And we've still got a good 12 episodes left or something. And I just don't want it to ever end. I like pretty much all of the characters who are actually characters, and that doesn't include all the background people who are just also part of the team and don't really matter.
That garbage temple boy.
Yeah, well, even him, it's like he's more of a character than like 3 of the other guys in the team who just like all kind of look the same.
Ball hit his face. That was something.
Yeah, like he like has lines. They're like, because there's the one dude with like the poofy hair, and then the fucking one guy who the only thing that he's done was been like he compared Team V or whatever to a girl, and that was his only thing that he did in the show. So those 2 people,
their lines have been relegated to extra time only.
Yeah. Even like Monk Guy sucks, obviously, and I want him to not be here, but he's better than the other guys because he's at least done things. Overall, Blue Lock is just, I feel like it's a really accessible anime. I can't really think of anybody who wouldn't enjoy this. So, soccer is cool. I don't really have anything else to say about it. It's really exciting and well animated and unique. I haven't seen another sports show like this, like combining battle royale with normal shonen sports type stuff. And it's good.
Yeah, that's a good point about its accessibility. It has the same like strong point in that the way that Spy Family does, where it's an anime, but it doesn't fall into really like any of the weird anime trappings that get people who don't like it to be put off, because it's just soccer, just very extreme hype soccer for the most part. And it capitalizes on the battle royale theme that is so hot right now. That's a very good point that I didn't cover, but I'm glad you're also enjoying it still. Who's your favorite again?
Chigiri. He's
Chigiri.
my boy.
That's right.
He's so pretty.
That's true. Not as pretty as Bachira, but you know.
They're both very pretty boys.
Pretty on the outside, monsters on the inside.
Exactly.
Does Chigiri mention anything about, because I know Bachira does it a couple times about following the monster within, and I'm like, I can't wait for the energy drinks for this show.
Chigiri's like thing. He's got like the fucking like the chains around his leg.
Yeah,
like
his monster is injury trauma.
Yeah. Very real. Like he's one of the more believable Blue Lock characters, I guess, because it's fucking dude with an ACL tear and his weapon is being fast.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, that sums up that.
Cool. All right, my number 4 is Bochi the Rock. So I didn't have any expectations going into this. Superficially, it has a lot in common with the likes of Cain. It is a very well animated adaptation of a cute girl kind of gag vignette for Coma manga. And Cain did a lot to elevate that beyond its source material. But not only is Bochi the Rock really great production and has great music and everything. But it takes the theme of extreme social anxiety around the main character, and just really executes it in a way that I haven't seen done, and I certainly haven't seen feel as sincere and genuine and realistic, especially relative to my own experiences. You get to really dig into Bochi's state of mind at all times, and I think the things that she experiences and feels and how she relates to the world are articulated through her thoughts really eloquently, in a way that I think anyone could sympathize, and certainly I can empathize with. And yeah, just the way that it goes through that, both sympathetically and comedically, even if it feels like it's making fun of these things. Not only do I think it is funny in the way that it tells jokes about them, but it feels like something that, you can laugh at yourself in these situations, because they are absurd and ridiculous and they seem like, total exaggerations, but that is, how the weight of anxiety can feel. And, in retrospect, you can kind of appreciate it for being more trivial in actuality. But it really just goes through all of those scenes with a lot of care. And, as has been mentioned, the way that it uses all different styles of animation and is just so creative in its visual expression, makes them even more fun and even more enjoyable to watch. And yeah, the entire main cast is really dynamic and diverse and complement each other in really great ways. And, you get to see a really solid foundation of friendship form between these people. And, you get to see someone suffer, but also experience the other side of it and have people finally give her the friendship that she's always dreamed of, and see how supportive they can be and how big of a deal that can be to someone who's been, just looking for good friends for 15 years. So yeah, it really moved me in a way that I never expected it to. So I appreciate it on all aspects, and I have been listening to the full Kesoku Band album, available pretty much everywhere. I think it's on like iTunes and Spotify and shit. So check that out for some good old Bochi memories.
I do gotta say, one of my favorite things to come out of like the fan art side of Bochi is all of the like real album interpretations with like Bochi mixed into it. There's been so many good ones.
On that note, the promo art that Nappa put out for the Chainsaw Man Blu-ray, it might actually be on one of the box sets, I'm not sure, but it has, a bunch of famous movie posters with Chainsaw Man subbed in. Oh, you haven't seen that? Yeah, I'll put it in here. It's great. So yeah, in that same vein, I fucking love when people do shit like that.
Yeah.
Also, if you like Asian Kung Fu Generation, almost everything in Bocchi the Rock is a reference to that band.
Yeah.
Damn, is it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, like all the main characters' names, all the episode titles, yeah.
Huh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I only know Riri, but...
That is my number 4, so no one else has anything on Bocchi. We can move on to Brandon's number 4.
Is this the last time we're going to be talking about Bocchi, or is this going to come up somebody's like number fucking 3 or something? Like, I don't know if this is my last chance to talk about it.
Yeah, you can talk about it now. I think I have it ranked the highest.
Okay, yeah. This is, and I think I mentioned this in our last episode, but I approached this opposite from Kestrel, where I had super high expectations for it. And I feel like that's probably why I didn't wind up liking it as much as I thought I would. It was still a runner-up for my top 10 of the year. But overall, I think the thing that really prevented me from enjoying it as much as I could have is that I couldn't really connect to Bocchi the way that Kestrel and a lot of other people were able to. And I feel like that missing piece really changes a lot of the show for me. But overall, I still think it's like just a significantly better version of Cain with more enjoyable, more realistic characters. And it was kind of like gritty, but not in like a gross kind of way. It was very true to like local music scene vibes. And that I appreciated a lot.
Yeah, you don't get like the full smattering of dirt that you get from like a Beck or a Paradise Kiss, but you get a little taste of that. Like, this is what it feels like to be in a music club.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Alrighty, I will move on to my number 4, which is Spy Family. And just for, we'll just say it's both.
Yeah,
I feel like it's one of those rare instances where you get both seasons in the same year. So I'm going to count it as a full package. But yeah, Spy Family is. I mean, I was really looking forward to the anime because I was like instantly fell in love with the manga when it first got published, and the anime has lived up to it and more. I mean, it's easily the most. I think Cain touched on it a little bit earlier, that it doesn't fall into the trappings that a lot of other anime have, and even stuff that I could like faithfully recommend to someone that isn't super into anime. There's always going to be something usually, but this is, I guess with the exception of Yours Brother Yuri, maybe this show is like one of the most like normie bait shows or animes I've ever watched, and that's somehow that is a compliment to it, because it really nails every genre and tone that it's going for, because the comedy is all really on point. Anya is just like the freaking craziest little gremlin of a character, and I like can't help but love characters like that. And then like Yor and Lloyd both add the like love mystery, but also like hidden backgrounds that they can't talk about. So it's got drama, it's got intrigue, it's got like pretty decent world building for a show that isn't really focusing on much of the outer conflict most of the time. And I think it really hits all of its marks really well in both the comedy and the drama. And yeah, it's just like a gorgeous looking show. It really hasn't missed a note. I do agree with most people that the second season was like a little, I don't know, there was like a little bit less of that spark from the first season.
Yeah.
But I think that's not to say that it fell off in any kind of quality. I think it's just a matter of the specific source material being covered wasn't as big a highlight as like the opening chapters were, and then some of the maybe more dramatic stuff that's going to come later. But yeah, just it's not a show. It's strangely enough not a show I feel like I can say a lot about, because it doesn't really like push boundaries in a way like something like Chainsaw Man or Made in Abyss. It's just like really a very solid show that has very wide-ranging appeal that I think just about anyone could fall in love with a certain aspect of it. And it's very rare to find a show like that, especially in anime. So this is easily one of the most recommendable shows I have on my list. So yeah, Spy Family is a wonderful little thing.
Yeah, it's big. It's growing and getting bigger as a property when I'm seeing its manga at fucking Target.
Oh my goodness, for real?
Yeah, there are volumes of Spy Family on sale at the Target near me. And I'm like, they've made it.
Yeah, for real. Soon we're gonna be having like gas station manga stands. It's gonna be crazy.
I will say that I think back in 2003, before I had a Shonen Jump subscription, I got every issue of it from a gas station.
Really? Wow. That's fun.
You didn't have the old book fair.
Oh, I got 2 or 3 from this Scholastic Book Fair. That's true. That's true.
Hell yeah, that was the place where Shonen Jump was to be had where I grew up. If you wanted it, you either had to convince your parents to go to the nearest like Barnes and Noble that was like an hour away, or you just waited for the Scholastic Book Fair and bought whatever they had.
Yeah, this is a total tangent. But I got a few from the book fair, and then they only had it at the gas station in the town where my orthodontist was, and I had braces at the time. So it was every time I had to go to the orthodontist, I would get an issue. So I was missing a few in between. I have since gotten them all. But there was one time where I like broke my braces, and I was like, "Oh fuck yeah, I get this month's Shonen Jump now."
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh no, what a tragic accident.
Damn.
Why does this happen on the first of every month?
That's one way to get your kid to go to the dentist or whatever. Like, hey, that's a pretty good carrot to dangle in front of you.
All right, Cain, last number 4 here.
Sure. Let me bring up the list here. All right, cool. So at number 4, I had Cyberpunk Edge Runners. The show was really great. It's a much more perfect representation of Cyberpunk and Night City than the game ever was, and a little part of me feels bad. A little part of me feels bad for every person that bought the game because they watched the show. Because man, that's just not what you're getting here. But yeah, it's just a really strong sci-fi action show that has just enough like tragedy and other elements in it. It makes Night City like not only a character but like sort of the actual antagonist of the whole thing, and not whoever they happen to be killing at the time. Just the idea that you're swallowed up by this city and basically become a road bump, another piece of asphalt, in its many winding and labyrinthine streets. But it really does justice to the property and incorporates some stuff from the game in a really neat way, like the hacking systems and things. So there are some tidbits in there if you did play the game before that you can be like, oh, I remember that. And you get that nice little, shot of adrenaline when you see that happen. But yeah, the only thing I didn't get was why everybody fell in love with Rebecca so much. But I think that's mainly because the small girl that yells a lot is not really my wheelhouse. So, but I don't, I'm not yucking anyone's yum there. That's just the one thing that didn't like grip me as much as everybody else was the fervor behind Rebecca's character. I actually liked I don't remember a lot of their names anymore, but like the hacker lady that was just smoking all the time. The one that was smoking all the time and wore the mask. Yes, that wore the mask all the time.
Oh, Kiwi, yeah.
Yeah, I like Kiwi. I don't really know why. I think just because she was so incredibly mysterious.
Dang.
And her character
like
arc is
Netrunner. Yeah, like she's been around for a while.
Yeah, she's seen some shit and doesn't have any time to really, fuck around with stuff, and just kind of has this like deep knowledge of the city that she also isn't really willing to share, which is interesting.
Most, like, morally gray, I guess, out of everybody, because she was like playing both fields. So
yeah, she was
like a true Night City denizen. Like she knew how this shit worked.
Oh yeah, that's 100%. She knew what she had to do to make herself, survive for the longest. What to do, what not to do, when to know, to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. But it was just a really, really fun show. It is super violent and gory, and there's a lot of nudity and stuff, which is also just right in line with, the property in the game, because it's very much so like this far off future where, none of the modern proclivities or what's the word I'm looking for? It'll come to me, but basically none of the hang-ups of modern society really apply here anymore. Which is also, a very interesting time period to like be in and explore as an art medium. where you don't have to be held fast by any of those ideals. So that's also very cool. And there's also something that always entices me about a show, where you feel like none of the characters have really any plot armor attached to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like anything can happen at any time, and there's always something that's exciting about that. Obviously, your main character will have a little bit, especially here with David, right? That was his name.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I never really knew what was going to happen to any other gang members at any point in time, because the way they kill some of them is just like super matter of fact, just like this is how life goes, and there's a moment to try to bereave them, and then after that it's just business as usual. So another factor of just how Night City is and what it does to you, and the need to make yourself known as an edge runner, even though most people don't give two shits about you. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I don't want them to make any more of it.
They're not going to. I mean, why would they? It's over.
Yeah, you never know. Sometimes
there's so many people being like, when is Cyberpunk Edge Runners season 2? And like the only thing that I can think in response to that is like, did you even watch the first season? Because how could there be more?
The only way you could do it is if you just started from scratch all over again, and you just started with another group, but then all you're doing is just, trying to catch.
It wouldn't be Edge Runners season 2.
Yeah, you're either being a totally different anime at that point, or you're trying to like catch lightning in a bottle again, and it's just gonna feel weak.
Yeah, no, they shouldn't. They should take their win and move on.
Oh yeah, especially CD Projekt Red, because of how many people bought that fucking game. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, super enjoyed it. Really, really liked it. Hope there's never any more of it.
You hear that shit about literally every fucking property that has a perfect conclusive ending. Why was it canceled? When season 2? Shut the fuck up. Stories can end. Yeah.
Stories should end,
Yes.
Like the fact that it gets to be like fully told all in one package is like mind-boggling to people. I don't get it.
Yeah. God. Ugh.
That's why movies are great, because usually it's just bam, there it is.
Exactly. Love it or hate it. You got the whole thing in like 3 hours tops.
Yeah. I guess unless it's Avatar, and then it goes on for 30 years.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, is all the big blockbusters we have now, they're not one and done, because you gotta keep making that money, so they're really just one installment in an endless TV series.
MCU, baby.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I guess it's certain movies can be one and done.
Yeah.
But I really liked it, and I think it's also super cool that it kind of came out of nowhere as being good, because I don't think anybody expected it to be worth two shits.
Mm-hmm.
I avoided it because I was like, this is gonna suck, and then I saw good things, and I watched it, and yeah, here we are.
Totally. All right, those are number 4s. I've got a few lists from my people. A couple of them are only top 5s because they just didn't watch enough to have that solid of a top 10, which is fine. So we got my buddy Sam. Number 5, Mob Psycho 103. Number 4, Spy Family. Number 3, Chainsaw Man. Number 2, Attack on Titan, the final season, part 2. And number 1, Cyberpunk Edge Runners. We've got my boss's boss, Victor. Who he has number 5, Birdie Wing.
Oh
no! Yo, your boss is a busta.
Don't get me fired, guys. Number 4, Mobile Suit Gundam: The Witch from Mercury. Number 3, Spy Family. Number 2, Chainsaw Man, and number 1, Golden Kamuy 4th season.
Dang, nice.
And then we got a few people from my Discord server that I'm part of. I know all of these people in real life too, but they all want to go by their screen names, so I will oblige. We have Zelos. Number 10, your boy Kong Ming. Number 9, my dress up darling. Number 8, Licorice Recoil. Number 7, Mob Psycho 103. Number 6, Spy Family. Number 5, Bleach, 1000 Year Blood War Arc. Number 4, Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Number 3, Chainsaw Man. Number 2, Kaguya-sama Ultra Romantic. and number 1, Ochi the Rock. I will mention that he only watched 11 anime in 2022, but obviously he knows how to pick them because that's a solid number, or top 10. Then we have Sync, his number 10, also your boy Kongming. Number 9, Kaguya-sama, Ultra Romantic. Number 8, Engage Kiss. Number 7.
Hearing that, like, it's fine if I heard that, but hearing that come after Kaguya-sama, just like it ignited a spark in my brain.
Yeah. Number 7.
This kills the DJ.
Number 7, My Dress Up Darling. Number 6, we got another Princess Connect Redive Season 2.
Woo!
Number 5, Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba Entertainment District Arc. Number 4, Spy Family. Number 3, Lycoris Recoil. Number 2, Bocchi the Rock. And number 1, Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Mm-hmm. And we have Enter Forever. Number 10, Demon Girl Next Door Season 2. Number 9, Spy Family. Number 8, DJ's favorite, Pop Team Epic, second season. Number 7, does that offend you more than Birdie Wing?
No. I think Birdie Wing is more offensive because, like, at least I can sort of comprehend the appeal of Pop Team Epic because that show is supposed to be a joke. Mm-hmm. Birdie Wing is just bad.
Number 7, Chainsaw Man. Number 6, Bleach, 1000 Year Blood War Arc. Number 5, Mobile Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury. Number 4, Mob Psycho 103. Number 3, Kaguya-sama Ultra Romantic. Number 2, Bocchi the Rock. And number 1, Lycoris Recoil.
I would never want to subject us to this, but I think it would be really fun if we did like a bottom 5 of the year.
I would love that.
See, I mean, the problem is that I avoid things that I don't think I'll love. So my bottom 5 is just the 5 things that weren't quite as good as I expected them to be. Yeah. So it's not that exciting, really.
Like I tried to watch Rent a Girlfriend.
For the sake of it.
Yeah,
exactly.
I dropped Rent a Girlfriend season 2 halfway through, so it's like, it would be tough to make it happen, but it would be fun.
Yeah, I watched all of that, and that would be on my bottom 5 because I'm a fucking masochist, apparently.
All right, I think we can move on to our number 3s.
Starting with me. My number 3 is My Dress Up Darling, which is a show I fucking adore. I'm a romance junkie. That's just my thing. And this is my favorite romance of the season because Marin is just such a fucking sweetheart. And she was so great in every single way. And it's going to be weird trying to talk about this without just gushing about her for 5 minutes because I love her that much. Overall, as a show, it is good. It's very character driven. There's not exactly a plot. It's girl wants to cosplay and dude who makes Hina dolls is good at making cosplay costumes. So they sort of team up and they do that together. And it's just all dialogue driven, and you just watch as these two unlikely candidates sort of find things about each other that they enjoy, and it's an unlikely romance. So it's one of those types of things that also sort of turns into an early stage harem later on. But overall, it's just really well written characters being sentimental to one another, and it's fun, and I always loved watching it because it made me feel good. There aren't a lot of things that make me feel good anymore. So props to you, everyone, in My Dress Up Darling. And I can't wait to get more of this because we're definitely going to. It's been going for a while, and it went over well because of how good the characters are. So if you're looking for something super story driven, not for you, but if you just want well-written romance and a lot of sort of good lessons and just about just doing what you love unabashedly. There's a lot of that in there too, where the dude, obviously he has a strange, by comparison, hobby to all of the rest of the people in his school, and no one's ever really understood like why he wants to make dolls. But then girl shows up and she's super popular and she's just like, that's awesome. You do you and you're awesome. And it's so heartwarming to just see someone so accepting of just everyone at face value. It's really good at just getting you to not really care about what other people think, not just in the protagonist too, because side character has the same thing where it's like, oh, first time I ever saw costumes, I wanted to do that. And then I tried it and I looked like a fucking idiot. But there's like a moment where she's looking at herself in the mirror and she looks like a fucking idiot. And it's just so sweet because she's trying. And that was just, it was such an important moment because like, that's how it is. You're not going to immediately be good at everything that you try to do. But as long as you're doing something that you love, it's fulfilling. And this show gets that across better than anything else that I've seen.
Yeah, that last point was definitely what I always appreciated the most about the series. It's just a celebration of passion and individuality, and to see the cast, respect and support each other in their individual pursuits, even if they can't, have the same feelings. It was just, amazingly heartwarming. And, its particular focus on cosplay gave me a really great appreciation of that community, which, I always see them at conventions and it's really amazing what they do. But I feel like it really made me respect the passion and love that they feel for their work and everything that goes around that community a lot more than I ever had before.
Yeah, it's eye-opening.
Yeah.
It is also very horny, though. So that's a thing that has to be prefaced, I guess. Like, there are a lot of horny moments in the show. It's not free of
probably the most well-animated, like, guy getting a boner moment I've ever seen.
If I had to rank them, that'd probably be number one. That was such a good scene, though. Like, just from a non-horny standpoint, it was so good.
If you take out the horny, what's left?
It was like, that was like horny in an emotional way, though, because it was just fucking silent. And in the background, you just hear people banging and just all the breathing. And it was so good. It was so immersive.
It was, yeah.
This show did help me realize I just love watching shows that just validate people for enjoying their niche hobbies. It definitely was the runner up to the I didn't think I'd love this as much as I did award, right behind Bocchi for me.
Yeah, I definitely didn't love it nearly as much as Bocchi, but yeah, it was definitely one that I went into being like, should I check this out? It looks like, a maybe okay, well animated, like fan service harem waifu show. And it was just so sincere and wholesome while being entirely not wholesome, because just the friendships are so wholesome and the horniness is so not. But it's a great balance.
That was weird. Like, it was just so extreme in both directions.
Yeah. Maureen is such a sweetheart, though, so it's like I can't hate her for it.
She's so good. Like, who doesn't like her? She's just the perfect girl.
And like, I kind of feel this way about Licorice Recoil a little bit too, where like there are a lot of superficial elements where like she kicks off all of the archetype checkboxes. This is waifu bait, waifu material. This is the girl everyone's gonna love, the it girl. But also she's really well written and really genuine, and there's just great character development.
Like, it's characters that you don't want to like because you acknowledge that is like a part of them, that they are just designed to be perfect, but they're so good at everything. And it's just hard to dislike them. Like, there's just no flaw you can really pick out.
Yeah. Yeah, you were right. And you can't stop gushing about Maureen.
Man, she's so good.
All right, Cain, what is your number 3? Oh, whoops, I did an accidental segue there.
My number 3 actually happens to be Licorice Recoil. So, I'm not gonna lie. Part of it is because the two main characters are really interesting and have a fun buddy cop relationship in terms of their personalities being so different, like a 48 hours type thing. That made it really enjoyable. plus I thought like the action was really cool, and I actually liked the villain guy and the fact that he kind of bonds with the main girl. What was her name again?
Sato.
Yeah, like bonds with her over action movies at one point, like in that very sort of antagonistic way where they just kind of chat about stuff in between trying to kill each other. But I always think those little moments, when done well, are a lot of fun when they're just like, oh, you and me, we ain't so different type deals. But yeah, it's I really enjoyed watching it the whole time. The idea of its storyline of a company kind of rescuing people from the brink because they're destined for greatness, but not really specifying what that greatness is in terms of good versus evil is cool, like a very chaotic, neutral type thing where, yeah, we could, save this girl and give her an artificial heart, but it's because she's going to be an amazing assassin and this guy is going to be an amazing terrorist. So it's very fun to look at it that way, because then you do get a lot of interesting things. Plus the opening, while being kind of cutesy, and she's talking about how Tokyo is so safe and stuff, it's also like horrifying at the same time.
It was terrifying. Yeah,
it's absolutely
getting murked in the background.
Yeah, people just getting murdered by like girls with like guns in the background. She's like, I love living here. It's so great, and the crepes are amazing. And it's just like, there's a guy getting shot. There's a guy getting shot. And I think that's what really drew me in immediately, was just that part actually was the government sponsored kill squad. That's all these like girls, a very gunslinger girl style. Just with a very bubblegum veneer on it, and the show does know when to get serious about stuff. Occasionally, it's not super jokey all the time, especially when the rubber meets the road and the battles start coming to a head. But yeah, I really liked it. Sometimes I wish that she didn't have hang-ups about killing people, but then the show wouldn't have happened without that. So I can't like blame her for not wanting to kill people, even though it would have made everyone's lives a lot easier. So yeah, it was another show that I wasn't entirely sure if I was going to like, but I always try to give especially like original shows a chance, the ones that aren't adaptations of things. I always like trying to give those a shot, and I really enjoyed this one. And this is another one that I'm like, I don't really need to see any more of it. Please don't make any more of it, because they do kind of they don't leave it open, but I could see where they would be like, she escapes Hawaii and does Hawaii stuff, but they're coming after her still, or whatever. Like,
weird.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know why that was there.
Yeah. But it's another one that it's just like, you told your whole story. Everything happened that basically needed to happen. Please don't draw this out anymore, because the characters are all in the right spot that I enjoyed having them around. Even though I did like the coffee shop, and I wish that would have stuck around. Like that, as the main place that everyone hung out. But
I'm down for a spin-off where they just work in the cafe, and that's it. That's all they do. Because Takina and Chisato have some of the best character chemistry that I have seen.
Yeah, they really do
so well together, and a lot of that was due to the Seiyu, but like it was perfect, just the way that they interacted with one another. It felt like they were real. Like they didn't feel like characters when they were talking.
Well, yeah, and they also weren't like extremes of their archetype in a way, so it wasn't like this is the over serious one and this is the jokey one all the time. Like they both kind of started to take on aspects of the other as they hung out more and kind of opened up. It wasn't just the whole time, this is the one who's super serious by the book and this is the joke one, because you can do that for like a movie like Lethal Weapon, because you're only doing it for an hour and a half. But to do it over a full TV series, that would get old. But just the fact that they were kind of rubbing off on each other a little bit, definitely helped. And yeah, they had a lot of really good chemistry, and I liked how Chisato's the main girl with the fake heart, right? Yeah. Okay. I liked how she clowned on all the girls in that paintball match. That was actually one of my favorite gunfights, is when they go back to the academy and Chisato's like, man, I just fucking hate it here. and then goes into that little exercise just to clown on them all, just like dunk on them hardcore. That was one of my favorite little bits of the show, where it was like not really important, but still fun to watch her just be like, yeah, I'm LeBron and you guys are a bunch of coffee cups. So that was cool. But yeah, really, really enjoyed the show. Really liked watching it, and the balances that it brought, and the action is also really cool at the same time. Plus, the antagonist, I didn't feel like he was wrong in a lot of ways. He was not.
He was a good antagonist. He gets you over to his side.
He was not comically evil. He wasn't like a cartoonish clown that just wanted to destroy everybody for like either no reason or something very trivial. It was, hey, the government having, you girls be kill squads sucks. Which he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, not wrong.
Shadow, basically. Just the opposite side of things.
Yeah, and he wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean a lot.
Get your hands dirty.
Yeah. So yeah, it was my number 3. I would go back and rewatch, like, maybe not the whole series because I typically don't do that, but I would definitely go back and rewatch some of like the action scenes because they're so fucking cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you guys in the same vein as what I was saying about My Dress Up Darling, where like, on the surface, these girls have all the characteristics of your moe blobs that you buy all the figures of, but underneath that, they have really genuinely good writing, and they really break outside of that shell. So that was awesome to see. All right, how about Brand's number 3?
My number 3 is Mob Psycho 100 Season 3. So we have talked a lot about adaptations and like the different ways they can be handled. Sometimes you can be more experimental. Sometimes you're trying to be as by the books as possible, and that, could go one way or the other. There's always going to be like a reaction on both ends for like, oh, it should have been this or they should have done this. But when I think of like, how do you do an adaptation right, I will always point to Mob Psycho, because front to back, I think all 3 seasons were phenomenal and elevated the source material in just about every way. I think 1 is an amazing writer, and his art even like, and paneling got better slightly over time, but just like the actual attention to detail and care, and just like they went so over the top with adapting this that like it's almost incomparable. And this show, as we also said, it got an ending, and it doesn't need anything else, because sometimes you want something beginning to end, and it's a perfect little package, and it's all it needs to be, because it covered everything it needed to do. It's just such an intimate character study on the main character Mob, and it hits every facet of the things that he's locked away inside his mind and in his heart. And each season like slowly broke open another piece of him until he was able to understand himself, and in that same vein understand everyone around him, which is why, by the end of the show, he has so many people in his life that care about him, and it's so believable, because just the show so intimately cared about its characters and giving them the answers that they deserve, that it was just such a heartwarming thing to follow from beginning to end. And I really can't give it enough praise. It's some of the most stunning animation I've ever seen, and the color composition, the music for the openings for each season were so like heart pumping, like fun to just like get you excited for it. And I don't know, this series is something special, and I feel like seeing the end of it like left a huge mob shaped hole in my heart, and it's sad to see it go, but it's going to be up there for me as something that I will look back on in a decade or more and be like, that was something special that I got to experience all the way through. And yeah, I'm glad I was here for it. Mob Psycho is amazing. And dare I say, better than One Punch Man. If that is a hot take even at this point. I don't even think it is.
I think it's pretty evenly split, I would say.
Yeah.
And I think it's great that he has his complete story and his long-running epic, and they're both great. Like, that's awesome. Mob did get, a more consistent adaptation, which, it's the complete story, so you never know if something might drop off in quality with One Punch Man, even if the first 5 seasons were all really well adapted. So it's good that Mob is there and as, a perfect encapsulation of what an anime adaptation of one's material can be from start to finish.
Yeah.
And, I definitely, that's kind of like the recommendation of like, how do you make the Chainsaw Man anime more like the manga? Well, just do what Mob Psycho did. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, that's an option. It has its merits and it worked out in that case. But I think, one's art is not great, and that's part of the charm. And carrying that across while giving it insanely good animation is a charming thing to do and keep it feeling the same. With Chainsaw Man, it's like, if what you appreciate is how well he uses the medium and not that it's kind of dirty sometimes, then yeah, I don't see it as quite an apples to apples comparison. Like, it still feels dirty in like a gross, gritty way often enough. It's just not in terms of quality. Like, it's not poorly drawn or poorly animated at any point. You just get that kind of layer of filth in the actual atmosphere of the scene.
Yeah. Anyway. I had a random thought. The other day I was watching the second season of Way of the House Husband. It like dropped on Netflix randomly. I was like, oh, I didn't even realize this was happening. So I was watching it, and I've gotten to the point where my gripes with the motion comic approach, like, I've kind of gotten over how like upset I originally was with it, because I mean, honestly, for the comedic timing of the series and like the small tidbits that each chapter represents as just a joke, I feel like, with the motion comic approach, it's serviceable. It's like probably for the best if we're going to make like a short content comedic anime. So like, I've gotten over my gripes with that. But that's the thing, is like something like Mob Psycho exists where it's like, yes, or if you, I guess, get the right staff, you can also just like overdo it so hard that it like is even better than the source material ever could be. Like we were saying though, with the people that want to redo the Chainsaw Man anime, you can't just like make that happen. I can't just pull together all the perfect people to make Way of a House Husband the most fluid, amazing looking anime I've ever seen. But Mob Psycho was able to do that, and it's hard to like give anything else any like lower of a bar when Bones was able to do what they did with this show for 3 seasons consistently. And I don't know, it is just like I don't really call many things a masterpiece, but I think Mob Psycho 100 in its totality is kind of a masterpiece in anime. But yeah.
It. My number 3 is Attack on Titan: The Final Season Part 2. I mean, obviously, I've always loved the series, and especially like since season 3, part 2, like really reinvigorated my passion for it. But yeah, this core, not as good as the last couple, I would say. I think it kind of slowed down a little bit in the middle. They were like adapting one chapter per episode. Not a lot was going on. Production values actually started to dip for the first time. I think in general, Mappa's work on the series has been solid. I think the wit stuff has generally been more visually impressive and just dynamic and kinetic. But I also agree that the material that they're adapting, and with that changeover between the studios occurring at the huge change in the story itself, it is fitting how Mappa is treating their material versus how Wit was treating their material, because they do have very different tones. They're very different. It's a very different show now than it was before the big change. So, both teams have done an excellent job at delivering Attack on Titan as it should feel, given the material. But I think the season in the middle and some of the parts where it started to slog was suffering a little bit from not having quite full resources on board. So it does fall a little bit behind, but when it's on, goddamn, it's on. The 3 episodes in a row of just fucking balls to the wall, crazy developments, some really clever directorial choices, and just mind-blowing story twists that harken back to the original, the origin of the series and the lore and how everything ties together, and just seeing how Isayama had planned all this out and is playing just such a long game for it. These things, you could, I guess, make them up after the fact, but it feels like they had to be just planned out so meticulously from the beginning. And it just blows my mind to see how he comes back around and delivers on those. And then, near the end of it, again, it starts to really ramp up again. We get the best animation we've seen from Mappa on this series. Really incredible action sequences, really tense action and intrigue, and just characters feeling like, anyone could die at any point. And just the despair of being in the situation that they're in the first place, but especially as Eren goes through this incredible transformation that this part of the season really sees him go through. Really recontextualizes the entire series and what it's going to become in its the final season, final arc, whenever we finally get that sometime soon, hopefully. But the way that it sets that up, it's just nothing that I could have ever expected from Attack on Titan, and the ways that, it takes the main character. Usually, you can have, not to spoil anything, you can have main characters that fill that role that it looks like Eren's going to fill for the final stretch. But usually you don't get them so far on the opposite side of the spectrum for the first 60 episodes of the series. So the way that it dealt with that material and made it feel like you could kind of understand, that's the thing that it does best, is particularly the final season in all of its parts, is that it really gets into the minds of all sides of a war and lets you experience and sympathize with how each of these people could feel the way they do. And a lot of that is, indoctrination, propaganda. But there are, legitimate arguments to be made that it has it spends a lot of time dealing with. And I think it's just, incredible piece of art. And I hope the last part doesn't fucking suck like everyone says it does, apparently. But maybe they'll change the ending. I don't know. I still
feel
don't
like
know.
It's not gonna. There's no way that it can be as bad as people say it's going to be. Because I feel like people just are not good at judging things, and that we are the only authorities that are able to properly critique shows, and everyone else is lying.
This is true.
Brandon, you have actually read all of the manga.
Yeah.
Is the ending will the ending ruin it if they keep it?
No, it won't.
That sounds more like a yes.
I didn't like that hesitation.
It wasn't
the hesitation's a little
It's
weird
calling you
there.
a proper authority.
I know, and I will try to be that, because the crazy part is that people did not say this about the ending until literally the final chapter.
Mhm.
And then people started to be like, oh no, you know what? It sucked all the way since back then. But like literally up until the second to last chapter, everyone's like, oh fuck, how's it going to end? Oh shit, how's it going to end? And then the final chapter drops, and it's just such a whirlpool of just, I think, expectations, and people were just theorizing for so long. Like the Attack on Titan like subreddits and shit were getting so crazy with their fan theories that I think it was a matter of expectations being so astronomically high that like they could never be attained. And I think the ending was I was confused a little bit when I first read it, but I think after like a couple weeks of it like settling in, I came to terms with what Isayama was going for, and I enjoy the ending, but I can see why some people like it wasn't what they wanted it to be after all of what happened. So I'm not going to
even get that ending though. That's another thing. Like
Yeah.
we might get an original ending.
That's
Right.
true.
Yeah. That's definitely the most positive take I've heard on the manga ending, period.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I am like being as non-critical as I can, just because I don't know. Some people think that like this one final chapter like ruins the whole thing, but it's like that. Even if that chapter wasn't everything I wanted it to be, it couldn't take away that this was like my favorite story I've ever read. What am I saying? Read. No, I didn't write that. I swear. I did. Yeah. I'm not Isayama. I do not own a spa. Okay, but
He doesn't either yet.
yeah, that's true.
Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah.
He wants to open a sauna.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah, there's like official art too. You should look it up. But
Beautiful.
yeah, no, like that. The final chapter could not take away from like what the entire story was to me. So like, I think people will be fine with the ending, and like if they changed it, I guess I would also be fine with it too. But I don't know how they can change it without it being like a very drastic change, and I feel like that might be going too far. So, yeah, I'm excited to see how the movie will wrap it up, because
Who said it's going to be a movie? They said it's going to be a TV series.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know anymore. It's been so long. I've not thought about Attack on Titan in so long, but that's because I had to force myself to not think about it because of how reactionary people got about the ending.
Mhm.
So that's why I'm excited for it to happen again and to kind of relive that, because it was so toxic and so chaotic, and I want to see that on an even larger scale, how it goes.
Jesus.
Yeah, it should be
rumbling.
fun. Yeah, for real. The real rumbling.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that no matter what it does, it won't change the fact that like Attack on Titan has my favorite episodes of television, period. But I do think that, after so much greatness, if he doesn't stick the ending, there's a lot of genuine disappointment to be had there, and that's fine. So I think if the ending of the manga is weak and they come up with something, especially if it's in collaboration with him, that feels like a stronger ending across the board for all the material leading up to it, I would have no problem with that.
Yeah, and I think this is like semi-related, but I think from watching the latest adaptation of Bleach and the way that Kubo and these people are working toward like expanding in a way that he couldn't when he originally wrote it, I think if it gets treatment like that, I think we're going to be in good hands. So that at least the Bleach adaptation has given me lots of hope for what they can do to tweak Attack on Titan.
Yeah. All right. That is our number 3s. DJ, want to round off the last of your submissions?
Sure. Yeah, the last batch of my people will start with Cylon. His number 10 is Mighty Mashita Iramakun, Season 3. Number 9 is Yusha Yamemas. I have no idea what that is. But that's number 9. 8 is Bocchi the Rock. 7 is Date Alive Season 4. 6, Spy Family. 5, Call of the Night. 4, Blue Lock. 3, Cyberpunk Edge Runners. 2, My Dress Up Darling. And 1, Kaguya-sama Season 3. After that, we've got Keith. His number 10 is Ya Boy Kong Ming. 9 is Bleach, 1,000 Year Blood War. 8, Spy Family. 7, Blue Lock. 6, Summertime Render/Rendering. 5, Bocchi the Rock. 4, Chainsaw Man. 3, Dress Up Darling. 2, Cyberpunk Edge Runners. And 1, Made in Abyss Season 2. After that, we've got TVC. His number 10 is The Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting. 9 is Spy Family. 8, Chainsaw Man. 7, The Genius Prince's Guide to Raising a Nation Out of Debt. 6, Arknight's Prelude to Dawn. 5, Life with an Ordinary Guy Who Reincarnated into a Total Fantasy Knockout. Okay. 4, Overlord Season 4. 3, Yusha Yamemas. Oh, I'm quitting heroing. Okay, it's that show. 2, Lycoris Recoil. 1, Summertime Rendering/Render. 2 more. I've got Daedalus. His number 10 is In the Heart of Kunoichi Tsubaki. 9, The Rising of Shield Hero Season 2. 8, The Devil is a Part-Timer Season 2. 7, Spy Family. 6, Overlord Season 4. 5, Made in Abyss Season 2. 4, My Dress Up Darling. 3, Is It Wrong to Try and Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon Season 4 Part 1. 2, Kaguya-sama Season 3. 1, Cyberpunk Edge Runners. And last but not least, we have Meech. His number 10 is Arknights Prelude to Dawn. 9 is Shinepost. 8, Demon Slayer Season 2. That is not, it's Demon Slayer Entertainment District arc. 7, Bocchi the Rock. 6, Lycoris Recoil. 5, Is It Wrong to Try and Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon Season 4 Part 1. 4, Cyberpunk Edge Runners. 3, My Dress Up Darling. 2, Summertime Rendering/Render. And number 1, Kaguya-sama Season 3.
Nice.
Thank you to all of my Discord people for submitting your top 10s. I appreciate it.
Yes, I also appreciate it. Lots of data.
Not enough of my friends watch enough anime. Freaking losers.
Make more.
And I just don't have friends. Cool.
You know, when you consider how many people are in my Discord, not a lot of people really gave me data. So
now you're just flexing.
No, I'm flexing their inappreciativeness. So.
Yeah, I agree. This Discord server that I tried to get answers from has like, I don't know, 40 people, and I only got lists from 3 of them. So, yeah.
It's a much higher percentage than 15 out of 13,000.
Jesus Christ.
What do you even do with that many people in a Discord? Goddamn.
Literally the most extreme flex I've ever experienced in my life.
My shirt is ripping.
Man, such a small percentage of the 13,000 people who love me so much that they give me money and spend time in a Discord server about my game.
13,000 of them give me money. Only like 1,500 of them, or 1,800 give me money.
That's right. You don't need to pay for the Discord. I was in it once. Still, 13,000 love you enough.
2023 gonna be different.
Hey, I love you and I don't give you money.
Aw.
All right. We can get to number 2s before I feel bad about not being DJ. First, number 2 is Cain.
Nice. So my number 2 is a show that probably had I don't want to say the best, but definitely the most coming down to earth moment final episode, and that's Mobile Suit Gundam Witch from Mercury.
Ooh.
Yeah.
There's so much I have to say about it. I don't really know where to start. I guess my favorite part of it is that for having a lot of the Gundam like themes and sort of character types and stuff like that, it feels like a breath of fresh air for Gundam in a lot of ways, in that it's trying to do or was trying to do like classic, school anime or like classroom crisis stuff where they're trying to do like businessy things and everyone's taking it very seriously, and there's like school cliques and all sorts of stuff, which I like business and political intrigue is kind of more on the menu for most of the season, where there are mobile suit battles, but they're generally done in the vein of achieving some type of political gain for the people. So they are less, the stakes aren't high on a universal scale. They are on the scale of the characters, which still makes them high leverage, high stress situations, but they feel like the stakes are appropriate, which is nice. There are a lot of shows, not just Gundam, where the stakes are always, live or die, the universe ends, or whatever if we fail. But this doesn't have quite that same feel all of the time, which really kind of makes you more immersed in the characters and what they're feeling at any point in time. And I also like a lot of the characters. I think this is one of the more like diverse casts we have, all sorts of colors and body type and personality types and things. It's not just like a bunch of white people with various amounts of PTSD. We have a lot of different things, and we have a lot of characters that have things to root for and like about them, whether it's, Suletta trying to make friends and somewhat live a normal life despite her upbringing as, being as chaotic and, militaristic and everything, and dealing with her naivety in a lot of ways. And we also have the ultimate jobber that is Guel, Jeturk, who actually was I liked him a lot more than I should, I feel, but mainly because I felt so bad for him.
Man's down so bad.
Shit on repeatedly.
Yeah, like everyone here who's watched it, have you finished it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, he really gets shit on, like really, really, really hard.
It's unfortunate too, because the literal after credit scene like overshadowed his final scene.
Oh,
and, which sucks because like he had such a like harrowing, heart-wrenching final moment for the scene.
Yeah, that was sad and all, but that fucking post-credit scene was holy shit. That was insane. That was so good. That was my favorite part of the whole show.
That was This is Gundam moment.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I didn't know Gundam did that. That's so cool.
Yeah. Gundam's been
for
doing
everyone
that for a
else,
while.
it was like, oh, I forgot I was watching Gundam, and for Keekly, it's like, wait, this is Gundam?
Oh yeah, that was harrowing.
Yeah, Gundam's done that on a couple occasions. In the last couple shows, whether it's UC or not, they've really upped the ante on Gundam versus normal ass meat bags territory, rather than just Gundam versus ship or Gundam versus Gundam. There's been a lot of fly swatting, and in Thunderbolt DJ, another one of my favorite scenes is there's a bunch of scientists huddled on a ship and they're all panicking because their ship's being invaded by Gundams, and then it goes slow-mo, and then a beam sword vaporizes them instantly, like in front of one of the main characters.
Just the gore that God, it was the fucking contrast between that and how she was acting. It was like, yo, this is insane. That's what I love. I need more of that.
That's a DJ girl right there.
Yeah, so that's
100%. She gained so many points in that moment.
Suletta went full Higurashi.
Was not because fucking like 15 minutes before that, she was like, blood. And fucking, oh my god, that just blew my mind.
Well, I really liked how they illustrated, at least for people who were kind of expecting it, that know how Gundam sort of works. Like, I had feelings of dread the whole episode because I'm like, this is just where everything's gonna go to shit really quick for everybody. But I really like the way that they did it, where it shows Suletta stepping on the blood on the floor.
Yeah,
and it's like
crossed over it.
Yeah, she's crossing over into fucked up child soldier territory, which, in case you forgot as the viewer, this show's like, in case you forgot or didn't watch the prologue, she's already murdered like 6 people. Like,
as a 4-year-old.
As a 4-year-old, she is murdered already. She has the taste of blood.
And Miorina's like reaction to it. Oh god,
Yeah.
they're gonna make me wait a whole ass season for more. That's so rude.
I'm really excited to see how that works, because if Miorine wants to be like this space capitalist now, as she talked to Suletta, like, I'm comfortable now. She's gonna need Suletta or someone like her to protect her. Like, you need that person who's gonna kill for you at that.
Yeah, but this is also a momentary obstacle in their lesbianism. So that is upsetting for me. But if that fucking gap can be bridged, oh man.
But yeah, it's filled with a lot of really good characters, and because I also like some of the people who are kind of more, I don't even know if you want to call it evil side of the student body. Like, I think Shadiq is cool as hell.
Mm-hmm.
I like his whole ass harem that he has.
Yeah, he's got this harem, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just here to help everybody," and but there's like all sorts of gears cranking back there until eventually his whole deal is, "I just want to destroy capitalism."
He's cool.
Like that, yeah, he's fucking cool.
Button his shirt up though.
You don't like seeing them muscles and muscles, baby?
It makes me feel weird.
Opportunity here, DJ.
I'm about to join the harem.
Yeah. If you're gonna get your lesbian girls, then the ladies can have
you're
some.
a threat.
He's like space Jack Sparrow. Come on,
you're awakening something in these girls.
What gets? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I feel like the character I'm most excited to see more in the second season is Nika, because I feel like she was very understated, but also like very much masterminding shit in the background. And like, she also got a moment in the last episode where it was like, people are going to start to figure out that she's not who she says she is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I want to know how much it is I want to know how much of it is masterminding and how much of her is just being manipulated by Shadiq.
Yeah, that's more along the like. It feels like she doesn't want to be like that, but like she has accepted what she has to do to get by.
That's fair.
Yeah, as an Earthian in particular.
Yeah,
as an which is one thing I wish they didn't do. Just go. What was so bad about Earthlings? Can we just go Earthling? That's a nitpick, but I was like, Earthian just sounds weird. But
I guess Earthian sounds more like Earth is kind of like a nation rather than like Earthling sounds more like a species. I didn't get it.
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's easier for Japanese people to say Earthian as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Are they called Spatians then?
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Didn't they used to be called Spacenoids in like the original one or something?
That's such a worse name.
Yeah. They rename all the terms every Gundam universe. It's like new types have been called a million different things.
That's true.
Now they're just called witches.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, Char. Just like you throw a helmet on them and they're just Char clone, different name, same guy.
I love how Prospera is the Char clone, but she doesn't even give a shit about it. She's like, there's nothing even wrong with me. I'm just wearing this, and the show just had her take it off immediately. Like, I'm the Char clone, but I'm also not the Char clone.
One gripe I have with this show comes from the action scenes, and I don't know if this is just a thing in Gundam or mech anime in general, but it feels like anytime anyone is about to lose, they're just like permit score, and then they say a number and then they win. And that happened like 7 times. They just like have like a I win button. And it's
that's more exclusive to this show. Like, it's there have been like cyber new types in that same way that have been given the space powers by science, but it's never been like a Super Saiyan type power level deal. If memory
that's the
serves,
vibe that I get. It's just like I'm about to lose. I level up and then I win.
Yeah, at the very least, they have a sort of backlash to that where it does intense damage to their bodies, which is why the whole Gundam system was sort of outlawed in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, but that hasn't really shown any consequences yet, where it's normally just like, oh, I'm hurt, and then they're okay.
Well, I mean, it got Elon killed.
That's not what got him killed.
Well, he went permit score and couldn't win, and then he got vaporized.
Well, yeah, he got vaporized because he lost. Like he tried to do the level up, I win, but like the permit score is not what killed him. Like I'm talking like all of the people who have won after being like permit score X. It's just like, okay, well, I'm hurt and now I'm okay because I won because I hit the win button. Like that's because that's happened several times, and that's the thing that I don't like.
Yeah, I feel like it is just like the way for them to do like a super soldier allegory where, because I mean it was pretty similar in Iron Blooded Orphans where it's like, oh yeah, the best mech pilots are the dudes that can like hook their brain up to the mech itself and then just like, you know, push it a little harder and then automatically win. Yeah, I feel like that's just how they've gone as Gundam has gotten more into this, like the Gundam's technology is like the thing that advances the warfare, not so much like the skill of the pilot.
Yeah, it's been kind of gradual with each new universe that new types have been slowly evolving into this concept of just you connect to your machine through your brain or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Which I honestly don't mind, especially because like being a new type was such like weird territory, and then they tried to just make new artificial new types. And then it was like, if you're a new type, you're automatically good. And this kind of opens it up for, you know, I guess more people to be antagonists and protagonists without having to just rope in, well, I'm a new type or what have you. So I think I'm gradually preferring it more over just, well, I was born in space and my brain's all fucked up, but I'm good at robot shit. Yeah, I mean, the show's just been really good. I'm mourning kind of the idea. We don't know, but the idea of its loss of the concept that I enjoyed, which is let's try to make our Gundam company a force for good and medical stuff. Because I mean, they were already shown that it was just a front for like essentially money laundering and background research, but also with all the shit that's happening, like that company's I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like that was the one shortcoming of this show for me, is that there's aspects that I wish got more time, like that, and the actual like part of them being at like an academy with Gundams. It's like if this would have aired way back when Gundam got like 24 to 48 episodes like easy, then I feel like we would have gotten a lot more of that like medical side of the business and more of the school drama stuff. But it felt like they were like, yeah, this is like just a setup. We got to get to the actual war shit. Okay, this is what you want. But
yeah, the school is more of an excuse to bring them all together and have them all conveniently in one location so that, you know, conflicts between them don't have to be like across galaxies.
Mm-hmm.
It does make it slightly more interesting that the school is also basically owned by the companies at the same time, which I think is interesting, because then it's like, what are they learning exactly when they have these 3 houses or whatever, 3 or 4 that are all just like Pale and Jeturk and whatever from, was it the Benerit group? That's right, the Benerit group.
Yep.
Yeah, and as always, like I've said it multiple times before, I think Gundam in general, like Bandai and stuff, and whoever makes these shows really has like the CGI usage for the mobile suits and combating, at least for me, like super dialed in. Like I think they always look really good for the most part. Like they move smoothly and everything looks really cool and sleek, which I enjoy. And it's the stuff I typically like being CGI'd, because you don't expect them to look or move like people. So when they don't, it's fine. So it's just really like really good. And I also agree it's a crime that we have to wait to watch like the direct aftermath of all this bullshit.
Oh, That hurt. Hit me with the most interesting part of the whole show, and then it's like, okay, see you in fucking 6 months or whatever.
Now they get you.
Yep. Hey, I'm just glad that this is just another gateway for more people to get into Gundam.
Yeah, it got me.
Yeah. We good on that?
Yes.
Cool. All right. How about your number 2, Brandon?
All right. Goddamn, yeah, we did talk about that one for a long time. My number 2 is Cyberpunk Edge Runners. And I feel like we've gotten out a lot of what I also think are great aspects of that show. Just like the portrayal of Night City as like this as like a sin city, you know, just like this futuristic shithole of vices. And the thing about Edge Runners for me is that it's crazy to me that the people who made this anime seem to have a better understanding of like cyberpunk dystopian fiction than the people who made the damn game. Because I put about maybe 20-ish, 30-ish hours into the game, and like it was all right. I like had fun to an extent, but I don't know, this show just seemed to understand way more the extremes of like what this kind of genre in sci-fi can be, and I feel like they hit the mark so perfectly and so cleanly in like 10 episodes only. And there really, I really saw no faults in the production. The music was insane. The animation was crazy. The story, for it being like a basically completely original take on what cyberpunk is, was like really well made. And as we said, it's perfectly wrapped up. We don't need Cyberpunk Edge Runners 2 because we got everything we needed out of this series, and it's beautiful. The production company was like, "Hey, Imaishi, here's a bunch of money. Go have fun, kid." And he was like, "Hell yeah, I'm gonna make Dead Leaves 2, bitch." And that's what he did, and it's fucking so amazing. And it was just like every episode, it just had me at the edge of my seat, just like literally cheering and just like emoting so much. It was just such a fun ride. I really can't praise it enough. It was just so fun, and it's awesome that a property like this can get an adaptation that has actual passion behind it. And it really did finesse a bunch of people into playing the game, which I am sorry for all those people. But yes.
It's not that bad.
Okay, it's not that bad.
They fixed most of it by now.
They did. I gave up long before that, but yes.
Those people didn't get roped into launch day Cyberpunk. Then we could feel that bad for them.
That's fair. If this came out right before launch, that would have been crazy. That would have been something else. But
yeah. It's less that the game is bad and more like the universe is just kind of empty in ways that the show isn't. Like you can't go in all the buildings and, you know, all that shit. It's just a lot of like driving. Yeah, a lot of driving.
When
I guess that
shareholders make you push your game out before it's ready.
Yeah, even though it took them 10 years to get to this point.
That's a fucking big game.
It was. And I guess that is something that I have to give it more credit, is that the show was super hyper focused and knew where to be focused, whereas like the game wanted to do a lot, and there was a lot, but there was also so much more than what it could do. So yeah,
it's hard to fucking tell a really sentimental, moving, impactful story when there are just a million side quests that you can do in between big moments.
Yeah. And I think the game, like when in certain areas, and when I actually liked using the photo mode quite a bit. I feel like Night City like looked astonishing in the game, and so I'll give them the credit to that. Night City is like, as Cain said, it is like the main character basically of that universe, and I think Edge Runners captured it perfectly. So yeah, it was wonderful, amazing soundtrack, great characters, and it's everything it needs to be and nothing else. And don't ask for more. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely. I agree about just the way that it gives you the genre of cyberpunk and does everything that genre is capable of and should be doing, and how it should feel. It just felt like a really great encapsulation of what the cyberpunk genre has always been meant to be. I actually just read all of the Alita manga for the first time, and just watched the live action movie for the first time, which I didn't hate. Wasn't great, but surprisingly didn't hate it.
Best anime movie.
Probably, yeah. For Hollywood live action, I would agree. But yeah, I think the manga is another really great example of like that, and Akira, of just how cyberpunk is supposed to feel, because it's not just about, being cool and, high tech and everything. It's the dystopian side and just the parallels to modern society and how we will naturally progress to this dystopia if we continue down the path and priorities of society, and just how, corporate overlords and all of those big money people will just beat down the common person more and more as long as they can. So yeah, it was a really powerful portrayal of all that.
Yeah, I guess the other thing I did want to mention is that I loved the portrayal of David as a main character, being like, he didn't have to be like a hero or like necessarily a good guy, because like he was very much like an outcast. And he was like the first episode alone, it was like he was an outcast. He was a drug dealer. He was just like a kid that didn't really know where the fuck he wanted to be. And throughout the show, he definitely like you could call him a hero by the end of it, but at the same time, he was his own demise, and he was like a detriment to himself in every way. And I think having like a morally gray and just like despondent character like that is like really cool to see. And I wish there were more shows that were not afraid to fuck their cast up like that.
Seriously. Yeah, he was a great example of a protagonist who just cannot get a win. Like, he was set up to fail, and he tried so hard to do what he thought would be the right things in so many situations, but they were always the wrong choice. There was no right choice, but they were always terrible choices, and he was never even doing it for himself. He was always playing, someone else's idea of what he should be, and nothing ever worked out. And sometimes life sucks.
Yeah. And I think that
he get pretty buff though.
He did.
That's a win.
Yeah, jacked to shit. So I guess that's pretty sick.
That's a win.
And I think that speaks really well to, once again, trigger understanding what Night City was and what it does to people. Because at the end of the day, even after this big, bombastic, insane finale, it's like the city's going to move on and keep going, and Night City's not going to change, and nothing that they did is going to matter at the end of it.
That's my favorite part.
Oh God, that hurt.
Oh no, I mean,
it's so real too. Like,
don't you love the hurt?
How that shit works.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite part about that. As someone who hasn't played the game at all, doesn't really know anything about it, but just the fact that I know that none of those characters are in the game and none of those plot lines are in the game just speaks to how insignificant it all was, and that just hits so much harder.
Yeah.
God, it hurts.
Yeah. It should.
Yeah.
All right. My number 2 and DJ's number 2 and Brandon's number 1 is Kaguya-sama Ultra Romantic. I guess the two of us who have it at number 2 should talk about it first. I'll say a few quick things, and then I'll probably have more to say when I think of things as DJ's talking.
Refine each other,
yeah, totally. Yeah, so this season, I loved season 2 already. It was probably already like my favorite romantic comedy as far as like romance and comedy go. Like, focused more on those two aspects than on dramas that also have both of those aspects. So like, Clannad's a romantic comedy, Fruits Basket is romantic comedy, but they are much more about the drama. Kaguya-sama is mostly about the romance and the comedy. And so it was already kind of my favorite of that genre. And it was hilarious. It had its moments of like really genuine, poignant drama. It had some great development of the romance, but it was still always that feeling that you were always being led along, and they could never really get to any real development because that breaks the whole premise, and then you don't have your perfect tension anymore, and you don't have all the gags around it. But this season, not only was it just as funny and delivered on all those aspects as well as first two seasons, even the second one did. Like the first episode, like I remember laughing out loud so much in the first episode. Like they had the Hayasaka lied as naturally as she breathed scene, and just the visual behind that, like, oh, I love it so much. And then
it talks about Kaguya's arm strength, and it like shows the opening.
Daddy dude callback, so amazing. And then it has a callback to the lie as naturally as she breathes in the same episode. Like, oh god, amazing.
Fucking flashes of just like she does the thing where Kaguya does the thing where she like puts her hand on her face to calm herself down, like literally like a microsecond. Oh god,
like one frame. So good. Yeah, so there's all of that for the first like 10 episodes, and then it builds a lot into a pretty substantial arc at the end, and a lot of that is the same kind of material, funny comedy, a little bit of like maybe romance gonna happen, what's gonna go wrong here. But then the final 2-part episode or pair of episodes, that finale, holy shit, one of the greatest moments of like any anime I've seen in a long time, really. It's like it manages to feel like it goes on for hours, and also that it's just speeding through so quickly. Like it captures why romantic comedies and that feeling of tension work so well, and it just like capitalizes on that better than you would ever expect it to be able to. And it elevates it so beyond what you would expect from that genre, what you would think it was capable of, what you thought that series would ever commit to, and has such incredible catharsis after all of that buildup, and manages to leave it in a spot where somehow all of the original premise and the opportunities for comedy are still there, but now they're mixed up so that it doesn't have to be as repetitive as it may have been in the past. Now everything can have this new twist on it, and you've had legitimate development in a huge way in the romance, where you'd normally get at the very end of the series, and this is literally halfway through the series. And
we're only halfway? Holy fuck.
Yeah, it was like exactly the halfway point of the manga.
Oh, geez.
The third season
I thought we were closer to the end.
Wow.
Yeah, it totally feels like it. But that's
you could tell me that was the ending, and I'd believe
exactly.
Yeah.
In any other series, that would have been the ending. But
we never get payoff like this. That's what makes fucking this season so good.
Yeah.
It's because it's like, not only do you get the fucking extravagant final arc where it just everything feels 10 times huger than anything in Kaguya-sama has ever felt, but there's actual like momentum in the plot, and romantic comedy is one of my favorite genres of all, and we don't ever get anything like this really. So it's great having that at this level, and it's even greater knowing that there's apparently so much more.
Right.
I think just to juxtapose what DJ just said, romantic comedy is like not usually my cup of tea. There's plenty that I do enjoy, but it's not usually the shows I'm looking for every season. But this show just does. It's just a 1-2 punch of some of the best comedic writing I've ever seen with some of the best romance writing I've ever seen. It just was so impeccably done, and like you guys said, I've never had such a cathartic payoff from a romance show ever, anime or otherwise. Just like I've never seen anything have such a good capping point to an arc into the beginning of a relationship in a show. So yeah, it's amazing.
The fact that we get the best conclusion to one of these stories halfway through said story is just insane. Like, yeah, I think I agree that romantic comedies on their face are not normally something I'm a big fan of, especially this kind of setup, because it is funny. Like, the comedy works for the most part, but has two problems. One, the romance can't progress because that's the source of the comedy. And two, the comedy can't change because the romance hasn't progressed. So I've had those qualms a little bit and those worries with Kaguya-sama as it's gone along. It's mostly been able to kind of, mix it up enough and be funny enough that it's worked out. But seeing how it's able to just subvert all of that and give me incredible payoff and resolution and change the dynamic so much that both the romance and the comedy are going to feel so fresh and so much more rewarding going forward. It's just absolutely incredible.
Have you read all of it, Cass?
No, I've only read. This is another series where I've read like way before where I'm at the anime at a given point.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I have seen the first half hour of the movie.
Oh, I forgot the movie.
Yeah,
already.
We're gonna get that on Valentine's Day here.
Oh my god, amazing!
Yeah, so everyone leave your significant others to go watch anime.
Deal.
Jokes on you. I don't have one.
Aw.
Yeah. I'm the Ishigami of this fucking
Speaking of Ishigami,
radio show.
I will say I don't think I liked this season as much as season 2.
Really?
Because of specifically the Ishigami arc in season 2. I feel like that really took everything to another level. But
amazing.
I do think that the way that season 3 ends propelled it to the top of my list for that exact reason. Like, if it wasn't for the ending of season 3, I don't know if it would be in my top 10, but it was just so strong and powerful, and it did everything that I wanted it to do in true Kaguya-sama fashion. I think that is what makes it as special as it actually is.
Yeah, I think
it's crazy because I was just gonna say, because Ishigami also got some amazing moments in this season as well. But yeah, that one from season 2 was insane.
What's her name? Get together, because I love that.
Oh yeah,
the heart. Oh god, good for you.
Yeah.
He's such a good boy.
Yeah, everything everything about even its gags are just so cleverly written. Like the way that they make this kind of weave through the arc and just have so much mileage out of such simple concepts. It's really clever. But yeah, I think this season would have been about on par with season 2, maybe a little bit below it before the final 2 episodes, but then those just propelled it to a completely different level that I never expected from the series.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else about Kaguya-sama?
Yeah. Anything else?
I guess just like one more thing that I love about this series in general that they've been doing since the beginning is the whole Chika taking Shirogane under her wing, despite how much she hates doing it. But like, she's like, I just gotta be the mentor to this boy. And every time we get one of those arcs, I can't get enough of it. And the rap arc from the 3rd season was so well done. And the fact that
ending sequence,
the fact that they literally brought it to like it was like a character it was like a peak character moment for Hayasaka, but also just one of the funniest fucking gags ever. It was like, how do you do that? How do you write something so good?
Right.
Hayasaka had a lot of peak moments this season.
Yeah,
it really did.
Seeing how she acts with her mom it changed everything. It was horrible.
Yeah, her with her mom, her with like the whole at the beginning of the arc, with her little date and her, finally letting it all off her chest in her rap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible moments.
I also need more Hayasaka mom and Shirogane papa together. Like those two are unstoppable duo. You can't do that.
Characters letting their emotions out through rap is a thing that I didn't know I needed, and I need more of it.
Yeah.
That was amazing. I also think that was like the day after or before the Kongming episode that was all rap battles as well.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is anime becoming?
Yeah. There was one other show that also had a rap battle. I can't remember what it was.
Season, yeah.
Yeah, but it
An
was
entire anime of nothing but rap battles.
Right?
Yeah.
It was bad.
But yeah, the Chika Shirogane dynamic, that's like her character, even though she's still mostly like a comedic, wacky character, it has increasingly just become she's Shirogane's mom. And that's just like half of her scenes now are just like her being distressed over having to be Shirogane's mom.
Yeah, I love it because she knows it's about to happen. Like she sees him struggling and she's like, no, I must stop at all costs. I cannot ask him what he's doing.
Yeah.
Fucking give us actual Chica story.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that was her whole. I feel like she should get like a spin-off. I feel like if there's any character that could deserve some kind of spin-off, it'd be her.
Yeah.
Do some detective shit.
Yeah. I am all for let's have some real Chica character moments because she is the only main character who hasn't really yet.
Mm-hmm. I'm just
something hard. I know.
I'm just curious if like they're going to give her romantic interest or if they're going to double down and never do that.
No, she'll never have one.
I wouldn't mind if she did never. Yeah.
Yeah. Like we can have one character who has no romantic storyline. That's totally cool.
Yeah.
I want her and Miko to get together. That'll be my new thing.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So we have started the number ones with that little overlap. So let's move on to Cain's number one anime of 2022.
Yay. So my number one is actually something we've talked about a lot already, so I don't have to really gab about it for too long, but it's Spy Family.
Nice.
It's just I love watching every episode of it. I wish Yor would have more stuff, but if that's the only gripe I can really think of, then that's like to me the best show. It's nice because Emily likes watching it too, and everyone I've shown it to has also really enjoyed it because of its incredible like crossover appeal. It had a totally baller tennis episode where shit just got absolutely nuts in the best way possible.
It literally outdid.
And I'm not annoyed by Yor's brother as much as I thought I would, mainly because I think the gag of him eating the food and vomiting at the same time is hysterical. And then when they did it where he ate the food out in the hallway and you heard him vomiting out in the hallway at one point while still screaming, "It's so delicious," was something that made me laugh really hard. But yeah, I just really like it. I like all the characters. I think they have really great chemistry together, and the comedy is always pretty on point. I just need to see Yor beat more people's asses. True. And that's kind of it. I know, Kestrel, you said at one point there is like a Yor-centric story arc. It's just down the road a ways.
Well, we've got another season confirmed for 2023, so I think you might get what you're looking for.
And a movie?
Yes. And a movie,
well?
Yeah, so there you go. But yeah, and the school stuff is kind of interesting as well because it looks at family dynamics, not just from her, but from other people. And it's always fun watching the foibles of all the kids and how that one girl has a crush on Mr. Forger real bad, and Anya's just not about it. She's like, that's my dad, yo. Stop. Yeah, I really, really like it.
One other thing, I do feel like Yuri does get a bit short of an end of the stick. One other aspect I really do like about him is that he calls Lloyd Lloydie. I love that he uses that.
Yeah, I think the series is probably Caitlin's favorite of the year. She fucking adores the series. And yeah, I will say, even though it didn't rank like in my top 5 quite, it's probably just the most enjoyable 20 minutes a week that I have while it's airing. Like, there's just nothing but happiness for 24 minutes when that show's on. And that's not something I can really say about anything else.
Yeah.
It knows when to slide like comedy bits into, and I like that the comedy is a mix of styles as well. There's some slapstick, there's some more dry humor, and things like that. And it's pretty good about its timing, which is nice. Like when they were doing the bomb stuff, it was pretty serious there for a while, but then you mix in your thinking that Anya got kidnapped and turned into a child bride at the same time, which is not outside of her character. Mm-hmm. Which is nice as well. Like her going that far and worrying about like her being a mom and breaking that illusion and straight into child bride territory. Like very good. And then she beats those guys up. Very dope.
Yeah. A couple things I just thought of. One is that I think going back to the crossover appeal that we've been talking about with this show, I think anime comedy can feel very distinctly anime or very distinctly Japanese and not work that well for, an outside American Western audience. I think this doesn't have a lot of that. I think it has pretty universal comedy. I think it works really well for most audiences. And also, I feel like the comedy, kind of like how I see the direction and atmosphere of Chainsaw Man vary pretty widely by the character that's focusing on. I feel like each of the main characters in Spy Family kind of has their own brand of comedy. And so you get to have that variety and you get to see how they kind of mix them up when multiple characters are involved in a particular scene.
It's hard not to laugh at Anya making all the meme faces.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolute treasure. It's amazing. All right. So my number 1 anime of 2022 is Bleach.
No.
Serious, guys.
It's a sentence I did not expect to hear ever.
I certainly
fucking casual.
Nobody is more disgusted by the idea of Bleach being my top anime of the year than me. Like, it's bad enough. Like, what happened this year? Like, Top Gun is my top movie of the year. Bleach is my top anime of the year. Damn. What has media become? What is going on?
You.
What have you become?
And like, so I've talked about this a lot, and I've talked about, especially with this last season, just the quality of adaptations and how they elevate their source material in so many ways. And we've even touched upon it on this episode a bit. But yeah, Bleach is like, as I've mentioned before, when I was really getting into anime in a big way, like, I'd been into anime for like 10 years already, but when I was like 15 and I was really into all the Shonen Jump properties and Bleach was hitting big in the US, and I was like, yeah, this is really cool. I like cool stuff. Bleach is cool. It's a little grittier than the other, like Naruto and One Piece. And everything that my little 15-year-old brain wanted to believe that Bleach could be and could become and would be so amazing, that is what it actually is now. And I can be 30 and cynical and jaded and watch dozens of anime all the time and be like, yeah, most of this is garbage. Most of the shit I used to like is garbage. And try to have this really like critical view of everything and dig into all the nuance. And yeah, Bleach just manages to push past all of that and be so incredible at what, teenagers always want Shonen Jump properties to be, that it can transcend all of that and just be this like incredible out of body religious experience of like, yeah, wow, this is the Bleach that I dreamed of for the past 15 years and thought for the past 10 years that I would never get because Bleach kind of fell off and kind of turned into shit. and I really didn't care about it. And this arc wasn't that good in the manga, but just everything that they're doing, working with Kubo to reimagine it as just this amazing version of itself. Yeah, cannot believe it. Best work of Studio Pierrot, of Shiro Sagisu, who's already one of the best composers in the business. Just everyone involved is just turning Bleach into a fucking masterpiece, and I cannot believe it. I can't believe it. I'm actually in disbelief and disgusted at myself.
I feel like there had to be some kind of like monkey paw finger curling moment to get this to happen. Like for Bleach to be resurrected in such a way that it was like it's firing on all cylinders and every aspect of the production is this good. It's like what did we have to give up for this to come to fruition?
Yeah, I don't know.
Does it have a confirmation for when it's coming back?
Yes, so this season arc, whatever, is 4 1-core parts, each split by a single core off. So
interesting.
We'll get the next 12 or 13 in spring, and then the next 12 or 13 in fall, and the final 12 or 13 in spring next year.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it'll keep it up across that entire time and continue to reimagine that arc in a way that makes it actually amazing instead of kind of shit like it was in the original. But
yeah.
God, I hope so, because wow, the first taste of it is incredible.
It's crazy because I feel like in the source material, like the closer it got to the ending, the more ass pulling and bullshit that was happening. So I feel like if this is at least a good sign that like they know what they need to do to change it, but they're gonna have to do more heavy lifting as it goes on. So
yeah,
we'll see. I'm hoping they can continue this quality.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely like a great first step, and you always have to have a little bit of caution in your optimism. But the fact that it is kind of one straight through production, it's not like they're waiting to see if they get another season greenlit. Like it's all set, so hopefully nothing will break in the production and the quality and the team and everything. But yeah, I think they definitely have some more reworking to do with Kubo as it goes along, and I think the manga had 2 really big problems in this arc. 3 really big problems. The less critical one, I guess, is that Kubo stopped drawing backgrounds. But the other 2 are the 2 forces pulling at it in the 2 opposing directions, which is 1, had to keep drawing shit out forever because it was still popular, until 2, it wasn't. And then he had to wrap everything up way too quickly, and it was super rushed. So find that balance in between, shorten all the stuff that didn't need to be there, lengthen all the stuff that should have been there. Just, yeah, it's the kind of adaptation where, like, if the original material had flaws, it's okay to change things and improve upon those flaws. If you can make the story better, if you can make it better in every way, then yeah, go for it. It's not a betrayal of the original if you can just legitimately make it better in every way. And that is absolutely what this is doing.
Yeah, like you said, it's all already mapped out. They know how long it needs to be, and there's no wishy-washy like month by month like, oh yeah, keep going, Kubo, or like, oh nope, time to cut it off. Like there's no more of that. So they should have all the room they need to make it exactly what it needs to be. So
yeah, like we've had a good 5-10 years to just sit with this and be like, okay, how do we do this right? And goddamn, they're doing it right.
Yeah,
that's Bleach.
All right, we ready for the final number 1?
The number 1 of all number 1s.
Tell us why it's Birdie Wing.
Climactic one, because it's one we've already talked about several times.
Birdie Wing. Yes.
My number 1 of the year is Cyberpunk Edgerunners. It is, a show I was not going to watch, got talked into watching, and boy, am I glad I did. It is the perfect tragedy. It is depressing the whole way through. Like we mentioned before, it's just the protagonist never gets a win at any point. But even despite that, he is so insanely dynamic and starts from nothing, ends with nothing. But along the way, he becomes like 8 million different people, all like searching for the right thing to do. And it circles back to exactly how it starts, and just pure tragedy, because that is the setting they live in. It's all insignificant, and it's just heart-wrenching the whole way through, and it gets you down. Like, I like this show so much that I played one of the songs from it at my wedding. That's a big deal.
Is it I really want to stay at your house?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I can't hear that song anymore without just fucking thinking of the final sequence of Cyberpunk Edgerunners that has just stayed with me and plagued my mind. And that has not happened with a lot of shows. This is the only thing I've given a 10 to all year. And it's something I can imagine myself revisiting many times. I don't often rewatch things anymore, but it's just, it has so much staying power, and it delivers such an important message about addiction, which is a thing that we don't really get to see in anime all that often. And I come from a family with like a long line of addicts. And so that there was that extra layer of resonation with me, because I've seen things like this happen. And it's just so poignant in every possible way, and masterfully made, and the best thing Trigger has ever done, in my opinion. And I don't even know if that's a controversial opinion, because of how widely regarded Cyberpunk Edgerunners is. It's
just not. I think, like, unless they consider the Gynax stuff that they were doing before they formed Trigger, like Gurren Lagann, that would be my only bit of competition. I feel like actual Trigger productions, not even close. How can you have competition then?
Yeah. I feel like it would come down to personal taste.
Trigger's got a huge following,
yeah. There's some huge Kill la Kill fans out there. But no, yeah, I think this is far and away gonna be a fan favorite. We're gonna pass this one down to our kids and their kids.
Yeah, but, it was just special. It cared so much about the world and the characters, and it chews everything up and spits it out, and then you have to fucking eat it.
I think that point you make about addiction is huge, because, like, Japan as a society does not deal with drugs very well. They're very strict about that shit. Like, you can smoke a little bit of weed and then just like your career is over if they catch you, So it's like,
is something similar happened with one of the dudes from Judgment, the Yakuza spinoff game, where he was like caught with cocaine and he was fucking taken out of the game.
Yep. The guy who was Jotaro in the live action JoJo's Bizarre Adventure movie, they literally couldn't make the sequel movie because he got arrested for smoking weed.
So insane. Yeah, they're really intense about that. And I've been like the fucking Anime Boston like 86 years ago when we did our one panel there, and there was a question somebody asked, and it was like, oh, if you could make an anime about whatever, what would it be? And I said addiction. And this is like the first thing we've fucking gotten since then that has been that. And it was perfect. And it was everything that it had to be, because it's so true to, like, even down to like the type of people who get sucked into that lifestyle. It's painful. And there were just so many moments in the series, not even centered around David, but centered around the world itself, where it's just like he's like walking through places that he used to walk when he was younger, and there's no one there now. And it's a bunch of shit like that really gets you thinking about how fucked up and depressing life can be. But it maintains this layer of hope all throughout. And it tricks you into believing that, hey, like maybe things might actually work out. And then they don't. And that's kind of just how it is sometimes. And a lot of media is afraid of giving you a bad ending or a sad ending, because it's people won't walk away with the right message. But I feel like in order for any message that Cyberpunk had to stick, it had to end like that. And I think that is just one of the things that sets it apart from everything else this year. And it rightfully deserves its spot as my number one.
Yeah, it is often said that you can only experience true despair with some sense of hope. And yeah, that's something that it really capitalizes on. And
Yeah.
that, yeah, it's very bold to have an unhappy ending, tragic ending. But yeah, it's powerful and it's perfect for the cyberpunk genre. Yeah, in retrospect, I probably should have put this on my top 10 instead of
Surprised you
Spy
didn't.
Family
Yeah.
twice. Yeah, it was very close, number 11. I don't know why I didn't just combine the two. And
Especially since you prefaced your Spy Family with season 2 is not as good as season 1.
well, yeah, well, I had to say that because then you'd know that season 1 was coming later on the list. But yeah, anyway, yeah, the series was great, and I think the fact that I don't have that same kind of experience with addicts, probably is the other side of that coin, where like why Bochi resonated so much for me.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, so that totally makes sense. I hadn't thought about the addiction aspect of it that much, but you're totally right. Like that's such an important theme to explore that anime like never touches. So yeah, that's great.
I think the closest I've seen was maybe Megalobox Nomad, but
true. Yeah.
But they tried to at the beginning, and then they're like, yeah, but then Joe's okay. He's working through that shit. He's good. So like, I feel like they dropped it really fast when I really wish that the season was like very heavily more focused on that. But
yeah, I think Nomad definitely made it too much of like a clean conflict that can be resolved. That it's, in Edge Runners, you can see how that is an ailment that follows you for life. And yeah, it's a lot more powerful that way.
Yeah, well, Megalobox did in a way a lot of sports like movies and stuff do with it, which is the power of hard work and dedication.
Yeah, the montage can cure any ailment.
Exactly, even addiction, especially addiction. Yeah, totally. All right, cool. Nobody else has anything about each of our lists. We can get to some aggregate top 10s, which we have some nice no ties here. So.
Oh, no ties this year?
Well, yeah, for top 10s.
Ooh.
There are some with like the same number of points, but like the placement made it so that they didn't tie, which is cool. So anyway, just from our 4 lists, we've got our top 10 being, I probably don't have to say this every time, but number 1 gets 10 points, number 2 gets 9 points, you get it. So number 10 overall is Bocchi the Rock with 11 points. Number 9, Chainsaw Man with 12 points. Number 8, Licorice Recoil with 12 points, but some better placements. Number 7, Blue Lock with 13 points. Number 6, Mob Psycho 103 with 13 points. Number 5, Bleach 1000 Year Blood War Arc with 13 points. Number 4, Attack on Titan Final Season Part 2, 19 points. Number 3, Spy Family with 21 points. Number 2, Cyberpunk Edge Runners with 26 points. And number 1, Kaguya-sama Ultra Romantic with 28 points.
Nice.
Yep.
I feel like my number 1 gets number 2 every year.
I mean,
which I'm cool with because my number 2 got number 1.
Right.
Yeah,
That's okay. Most of my entire list lives at the bottom of the aggregate list.
Hey, I will say that this year, I'm the only one whose number 1 did not appear. Or no, that's not true. Everyone's number 1 appeared on someone else's list. My number 1 placed the lowest. But yeah,
Hey, but your number 1 carried it to the whatever 8th spot in the aggregate list or whatever.
Yeah, it was 5th spot because you also had it on your list, just not as high.
Yeah.
But yeah, number 1 and number 2 were Brandon's number 1 and number 2. So clearly he is the most correct. However, DJ might get some redemption by DJ's fans, as it turns out.
So I hope Birdie Wing's on this list, bro. Let's go.
I was actually going to...
2 people who counted Birdie Wings.
That is not enough for how many submissions we have.
Yeah.
I was actually going to whip it around on Brandon and be like, his number 1 and number 2 just means he's the biggest sheep.
Yeah,
I'm the biggest shill.
The biggest basic bitch. Get on my level watching stuff no one cares about.
True. The who of tennis?
It's the prince.
All right. Overall, so we've got 24 total lists. We have 58 individual series accounted for.
Sheesh.
And our top 10 from that is number 10, Summertime Rendering with 45 points and one number one spot. Number 9 is Mob Psycho 103 with 46 points. Number 8 is Made in Abyss, The Golden City Under Scorching Sun, whatever. 54 points and 3 number ones. Number 7, Licorice Recoil with 59 points and 1 number one. Number 6, My Dress Up Darling. Right? It's called?
Yeah.
Okay. 83 points. Number 5, Chainsaw Man, 97 points and 1 number one. Number 4, Bocchi the Rock, 98 points and 2 number ones. Number 3, Kaguya-sama Ultra Romantic, 99 points and 4 number ones. Number 2, Spy Family, 100 points, 2 number ones. And number 1 is not even close, 159 points, 7 number ones. Cyberpunk Edge Runners.
Hell yeah, I'll take it. That's so many points.
Right. As the lists were going, I was like, oh my God, it's not even close.
Not even close. The next highest was 100 points. This one had it had half of that and then some added onto it. And let's see, like twice as many number ones as anything else on the list.
Yeah.
How many points did Birdie Wing have?
It's Birdie Wing was number 20. Two-way tie for number 20
Top
out
20.
of 58. Yeah, not bad.
What did it tie with?
14 points. It tied with Don Machi is wrong to pick up Girls in a Dungeon, season 4, part 1.
Edge Runners is over 10 times better than Birdie Wing.
That's true. That's true.
Cool.
Yo,
Objectively true.
Yeah, as voted on by DJ's own fans. Yes.
yeah. Shouts out to Licorice Recoil. It got 3 number one spots, even though it wasn't in the top 5 for aggregate points, I think. So that's pretty cool.
It only had 1 number one.
Oh, I thought you said 3.
Abyss was like number
Made in
8
Abyss
had like 3 number ones.
Correct.
Right?
Made in Abyss was number 8 and had 3 number ones. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, that was surprising. Not a lot of people watched that, I guess.
Well, any more reason for DJ to start watching it? Like,
Yeah, I'm going to. Yeah, as soon as my friend goes back to New Jersey. First thing I'm doing.
Nice.
You shouldn't subject him to that. That's good.
He's watching To Your Eternity downstairs, so he's going through his own thing.
Nice.
Amazing.
All right. Well, that was 2022. So unless anyone has any final thoughts on the year or wants to judge any of our listeners, we're good.
I'm going to drop a quick hot take in here.
Okay.
No.
Hot take.
no.
Good. We like hot takes.
I was trying to think of, I spent the whole time trying to think of the best way to word this, but essentially I think the Chainsaw Man opening animation is annoying because people think that it's big on film, but all it does is just drop the characters into film references over and over again. And I think that shit's annoying.
Really? I think it's charming. It's a fun little it's just like
I see it more as, hey, remember this? Hey, remember this? Hey, remember this? Over and over and over again. The reference I like the best is actually from Licorice Recoil, where they do the Stand By Me one, but that's because it makes sense to the story.
Good. Oh my god!
And it makes sense to the story. The Chainsaw Man ones are just like, wouldn't it be funny if we did this? Wouldn't it be funny if we did this? Wouldn't it be funny if we did this? And they never do any of that shit. In Licorice Recoil, their Stand By Me moment is a direct correlation to their relationship. So yeah, that's my hot take. Is just putting characters into film references, and I know that the guy who makes it, really loves film. I'm not taking that away from him, but just basing it off of the OP when people are like, how amazing is it? There's so many references, so cinephile, and like all it is just the characters animated into movie scenes from popular movies.
I don't think Attack of the Killer Tomatoes is that popular of a movie.
It's a super huge B movie. It's a super huge B movie.
I think it's not like any incredible artistic statement. I think it's just a fun gimmick to explore and, see how many you recognize, and just a celebration of film. Like,
yeah, that's less on any of you and more of the internet's reaction when people are like, "Oh, it's so artistic and cinematic." I'm like, but this doesn't do anything. It's just now I'm gonna write them in Big Lebowski. Now I'm gonna draw them as in they're from Reservoir Dogs. Now I'm gonna draw them from a scene from Jacob's Ladder. Now it's just that's all it is.
Yeah,
There's
I
no
think
So have I guess a hot take directed towards shitty anime fans that I can get out there in place of a recommendation, because I like this more.
Yeah.
We should have a fucking shitty hot take at the end of every episode.
We go into
Big middle finger to all of the billions of fucking Spy Family fans I saw out there complaining and making actual
I know where this is going.
decisions about the opening for the second season, because the opening for the second season is better than the opening for the first season. I don't care who the fuck disagrees.
Whoa.
Oh, all right. That isn't where I thought it was going, but I back that take.
No,
Even though I don't agree with it,
so many
but I back it.
There were I think 9 concurrent threads on my anime list at one point of people just making complaint threads about the opening for the new Spy Family and being like, we should boycott the show until they change the opening. And
they can pound sand.
Kidding me? Grow up.
I mean, that's not going back to the Chainsaw Man for just a second. Just because I had one more thing to say on that. Because I will just say that
that I'm right.
Yes. It's true that the bits in the opening, like the Chainsaw Man anime adaptation, is incredibly cinematic, but not those parts. That's not an example of that. Those are fun little references. That is not the same as actually being filmic or cinematic or theatrical, which is what much of the episodes proper actually do.
Go tell Reddit that.
It is a stylization choice, just as many of the endings have their own distinct, unique stylization choices.
Also, going to the movies will be plot relevant in the second season. So that won't matter once that drops.
Yeah, and that's a fun thing about it. You see them in all of these movie scenes, and then you see them watching a movie. That's fun. I like that. They're watching all those movies with themselves in it. It's a good gimmick. Anyway, the Spy Family opening, I'm surprised. I get that the new ending or the new opening is a little less is going on or whatever, but I would have expected more people to have a problem with the storybook art style that takes up the first half of the first opening, because the second one is gorgeous in all the ways that you want anime to be. And the first one is,
they were the song doesn't match the tone of the series, and a lot of shit like that.
Jeez.
Go eat my ass.
If they want to say that about fucking My Hero Academia. I feel like that show keeps getting all baby ass little oh, we're superheroes.
We'll talk about that next episode.
The newest My Hero opening is the best one yet.
We'll talk about it next episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any more hot takes? Anyone?
I guess if you got one.
Stop drawing Bochi with huge tits, Twitter.
Good hot take.
God, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
I fucking hate it. I complain about this all the time in my Discord.
We've graduated to this being the 2022 airing of grievances.
So many grievances. I'm so full of rage.
I honestly thought your Spy Family thing, and then I'm done talking, but was about, I saw lots of complaints of why aren't Yor and
Lloyd fucking
Lloyd, why aren't they actually attracted to each other romantically? When's that gonna happen? I'm like, it doesn't have to happen.
Where it was going,
Yeah, but I want it to.
So that's why it's not as great, because he's one of those fans.
That's not a gripe of mine, because I want that to happen. No, they don't have to, but there are clearly some feelings there, and they live together. So might as well.
I mean,
I'd be fine with it happening, and I would like it, but it doesn't need to happen.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, my not so hot take is just everyone who thinks they understand how the Chainsaw Man anime should be doesn't understand filmmaking. Okay, that was 2022, everyone. Thanks for listening to us for 3.5 hours. If you're still around, you can check back with us in, I don't know, a week or so. I think all the shows will have started by then. We'll find time to record. Have time to talk about this new season. You can find us wherever you find podcasts. Subscribe, rate, review. Send us your hot takes and opinions and why we're wrong. We will read them and then tell you why you're wrong. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Alexa, Amazon, Facebook. You can follow us and like our stuff, share it, get in contact with us, like I said, anywhere on social media, Facebook, Twitter, also just via email, phantompostradio@gmail.com. We are at Phantom Post Radio on those other platforms, if I didn't say that. And yeah, you can find us on phantompost.com. You can find me on Twitter at FullMetalKilma. I don't know if I really post anything. Read all my reviews of Chainsaw Man. I talk about it a lot, even more than a lot that I've talked about it on the podcast. And I have time to choose my words, so I sound more coherent. But yeah, I have lots of opinions, and now I'm reviewing a show I don't really care about. So you can just not read my reviews this season. That's okay.
What are you reviewing?
Another Mappa show that probably no one knows exists, which is my campfire cooking absurd skill something isekai. I don't know.
Oh, another one of those.
Yeah.
Why that?
It's where the where the budget didn't go in Mappa.
Oof.
All right. You can find me on Twitter at DJ No Style. You can find my game at lessonsinlovegame.com, but you will not be getting any new updates until the middle of March because I am taking a break.
Unacceptable.
Nice. Find me at Hellshake Brando on most socials. If you read the Chainsaw Man manga, the part 2, I sometimes tweet about that and other things, but other anime and manga opinions. But yeah, also I review Mashle every week for the Phantom Post and other physical releases from time to time. Go read my Rohan review. Yeah.
Nice. And you can just find me right here. And that's it.
Oh yeah, still got that exclusivity contract.
We just re-signed. I love it.
Hell yeah. All right. Thanks everyone again for sticking it through. Maybe you took a few installments to get through it. That's okay. That's cool. And we will talk about the new winter 2023 season next time we record. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
I've only watched one winter show so far. I am behind. I think fucking 17 that I have lined up.
Yeah. I thought this was going to be a light season for me.
I know.
I've already picked up like 3 or 4 shows that I wasn't planning on watching.
I know. I had the same thought. And the problem is there's still a bunch of shows from last season still airing.
Yeah.
This is a problem. Yeah.